Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all. I'm Yasemin Alayla from MedClinics Turkey, and I will be your moderator today for this event. As MedClinics Turkey, we'd like to thank you all for coming and taking the time for it. We are very pleased that you're all here today. We have 7 special guests from the health industry who will share their experiences and successes in this highly competitive market. Without taking too much of your time, I would like to invite the former Health and Tourism Minister, Mr. Akarcalı, for the opening speech to the stage.
Önce bir şey sorsam. Herkes İngilizce biliyor mu? Evet. Bilmeyen varsa elini kaldırsın. Hayır, ciddi söylüyorum. Hem Türkçe hem İngilizce yaparım konuşmayı. Okay. So everybody speaks English. Thank you very much. It happens that before Christ, I had been Minister of Health. It was in 87 and 88. The biggest realization had been to stop smoking in Turkey, in the closed areas, and also all cigarette publicity. So I became the enemy number 1 of Philip Morris. At that time, all the Turkish streets were covered with the cowboy of Marlboro and the camel of another trademark. Why I'm saying that? In fact, the health starts not with the medicine, but by the people, by the human being itself. If you take care of yourself, okay, let's say, you need less medical, you need less medicine. But unfortunately in Turkey now, this is just the opposite. We have a record, we are number 1 in Europe as obesity. We our people mostly, the ladies, excuse me, mostly ladies are the most obese of Europe. Fortunately, there is no any example here. To start, to give some example about the Turkish realization and success in the health tourism and health sector, let me tell the following. When Obama was the president of the United States, as you know, he started a policy to cover all Americans with health policy. I don't know if it has been successful or not, but at the time I participated to a meeting, to a conference in Brussels. An expert of the World Bank has said the following. He was ignoring that I was there or there was any people from Turkey. He said, if Obama will be successful with this field, then in 5 years, 50 million Americans will have the same opportunity in medical service as Turkey today. And it was during the, let's say, before the Obama period. I think it was very, let's say, as Turks to hear such things. We had been proud. And really, the last 20 years had been a big stake in Turkey for the health services. And I really congratulate MedClinics for his also services. And I have suggested to them to do more in order to give more guarantee about the treatment and the services in Turkey. That's what I am suggesting to all companies in Turkey following. I said, you have to try to be as much as possible, more reliable, and you have to give the feeling to the people that when they come to Turkey, you will take care of everything, not only just touristic service, take them from the airport, etc. Another point is the following. The health tourism, the health sector, let's say, is going in parallel with the tourism. Most of the people coming, for example, to Antalya with 2 purposes. the health services, mostly aesthetic, hair treatment, etc., but also tourism. So we are in a position to propose both services, both leisure at the same time, leisure and healthcare. It's a fact that the Turkish Airlines had been also a source of success in this field. As you know, this company is the company who was flying to the most airport or the most destination in the world. And let me give you an anecdote from the prehistoric period of my political career. In '86, with the Prime Minister Turgut Özal and the chairman of the Turkish Airlines in the old airport in Istanbul, we were discussing the following. We were three people discussing. At that time, I was vice chairman of the party. And the subject was the following. It was a dream. It wasn't an objective. The objective is something that you can realize. But the dream, there is no limit to them. You can dream for everything. So our dream was the following. What can we do? How can we do that to rise the Turkish Airlines to the level of Greek Olympic Airlines? I'm not exaggerating. It was not the objective because we are feeling that it was not possible in a short period. Today, nobody knows, let's say, Olympic Airlines, who became, say, local airlines. I'm not giving this example in order to critique our Greek friends, not at all. And the second is that what can we do in order to rise Istanbul to become a connecting point of the flights as Athens. So our dreams were the Olympic Airlines and Athens Airport. And today, the success of the Turkish Airlines is obvious. This is the same in the health sector. And I think that the government has done his most possible efforts in order to improve this situation. But it happens to the private companies who are dealing with health tourism to do more than their best. And as I said, it is based totally on the confidence and reliability of their services. And the services should not finish when the patient take the plane to go home. Every plane, now the technology is totally available for that. Every patient should be followed from Turkey after the treatment, at least by courtesy, but also for medical purposes. In the past, with the, let's say, lack of technology, it wasn't possible. But today, let's say, before the patient coming to Turkey, every critical information, every radiography, etc., picture will be obtained before. And before the patient is coming here, let's say the hospital who will provide the services, etc., will be aware of the situation, of the real situation of the patient. And also, there should be, if possible, a direct contact by phone or by internet between the treatment institution in Turkey, between the hospitals or the medicine, and with the doctor, medicine of the customer in his own country. This is very important. As well as before the patient is coming to Turkey, as well as when the patient goes home. And the following should be done not only with the person of the patient, but with his doctor, with his or the institution that the patient is in contact in his own country. And just such kind of services, to be able to propose these services, will be considered by the patient as something very serious, giving the necessary reliability, confidentiality to himself. Because he spent his money, and what is important is his own health. And this is very sensitive. You cannot be satisfied in a restaurant, etc., but you can forget it. if you are not satisfied with the health services that you get, is something very, very important. That's the reason why I really here congratulate companies like MedClinics, and this company should be, how to say, some like the guide for the other companies with their services, with their quality, with their reliability. I had been in politics, before being in politics, I had been in private sector, chairman, general manager of different companies. The most important thing is the satisfaction of the customer, and not the objective should not be to make profit. Profit is comes automatically when the customer is satisfied, mostly in health sector, because this is a sector that a human being will spend his money for his own health. If the treatment, if the services is correct, is satisfactory, he will pay. But also he will become, let's say, mobile, walking public relation for you, for the company, for the hospital. The most, let's say, actually, the communication is developed through internet, through smartphone, etc. But nothing is better than the direct communication from one satisfied customer to another potential customer. Let's say from the lip to the ear directly. This is the most effective and the most satisfactory communication system. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I hope that every year you will have more and more patients in Turkey in order to treatment. But on the other hand, in fact, as health policy, the system, the concept should be as much as, let's say, small. How to say it? Let me tell you first in Turkish. So I will tell my own foreign language is French. This is why I have some difficulty with British. Sağlık sistemi öyle olmalı ki hastaneye falan ihtiyaç kalmasın. And in fact, the health system should be such as that we should not be in need of masjid or hospitals, etc. This is the main policy of the Scandinavian countries, and mostly in Finland. The system is to keep the people healthy. This is the most important. Unfortunately, one of the reasons that the health system is very much developed in Turkey because our people didn't take care of their body, of themselves. There's a very big consumption of sugar, a big consumption of fat, and food, etc., etc. I am the founding chairman of the Turkish gastronomy tourism, but I have also to say that the Turkish gastronomy is full of calories, is full of fat, is full of sugar. The famous Turkish dessert, etc. Let's say, when you eat, the healthy 50% is almost sugar. Yeah. That's the reason why we have also the highest level of diabetes and other, let's say, illness related to the diabetes and similar food consumption. Well, thank you for listening to me. And hope to see you next week. Not smoking. Is there anyone smoking here? Is there a smoker? Well, you are in really minority, so I think that next year, you will be also with the others. Yeah. I do not understand the ladies who smoke. You know why? You spend a lot of money for the parfum. 1 liter of parfum, in fact, was almost $2,000. Really, you pay $200 for 50 cents. cc. So only $32,000. And then, so you come with this beautiful perfume, etc. Okay, it's very interesting to smell you in the lift, ascensor, etc. But then you think one cigarette, everything is finished. No, please don't smoke.
So, many thanks to Mr. Karteler for this great opening speech. And now I would like to invite Saeed Hamid from Right Choice Home and Away to the stage, please, to make his speech.
Excellency, thank you very much for making my task so easy. Thank you. But I must give you this message. You said all the right things. You've taken away everything that I had to say. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I hope you can hear me. Can I hear? That's as far as my Turkish will take me. But it's very nice to see so many people here, and I just hope to build upon what the Excellency Minister had to say. I think he's really put the scene settled out there. And what I'm going to talk about is exactly where we are today in terms of healthcare tourism in Turkey in specific. I think it's a happy note that we in 2022, end of 2022, are able to talk about healthcare tourism at all after what we've been through in the COVID times and the uncertainty that we all faced. So congratulations to everybody for having been that resilient and made it possible to get this far. And that's a tribute, I suppose, to humanity. But narrowing the focus down to where we are today in terms of healthcare in Turkey and the position of Turkey in healthcare. How many people believe that Turkey is #1 in healthcare travel today in the world? Can I have a show of hands, please? Is that all? I'm sure there are more people who are being very modest about showing their hands, but it really is an enviable position, to say the least, that Turkey occupies. And this is as a result of the persistence, the aggressive marketing, the assistance of the government in promoting healthcare travel in Turkey, and all the other elements which will become apparent through the course of this presentation. My purpose today is to determine not so much where we are, but to give some food for thought for how to stay there. They say it's easy to get to the top. It's how you stay there that's the difficult part. And that is what I hope to provide some food for thought for, and I hope it will instigate our minds and give us the pointers with which to keep Turkey in this place and raise the standards of Turkish healthcare as we go along. So the 5 P's of Turkey healthcare travel, that is what we are talking about. Just to introduce myself, I have 17 years completing in May next year in healthcare travel. So yes, a bit of experience, and my experience with Turkey itself goes back to 2008, when I first signed contracts with Turkish hospitals, but never sent a patient until 2014. That's when my first patient arrived in Turkey, and that was for various reasons why it didn't happen. It is when I had the confidence that people from the United Kingdom could come to Turkey and have the benefit of healthcare that was reputable and would leave them satisfied that I first started to facilitate patients to come in. So that is the place that I am. I'm not an outsider. I am very much sailing in the same boat because the success of my company, of my venture, depends very much on the place that Turkey occupies today. Because a lot of my business is conducted with Turkey, and a lot of my patients frequent this destination more so than any other destination in the world. So it is important to me. So please consider me, even with the criticism, I am criticizing us and not anybody else. So please take it in that spirit. So what is the position? We've talked about that. What are the prospects? Where can Turkish healthcare ascend to? What heights? What are the prospects? What is the potential that will help it get there to those particular heights? And what are the pitfalls? Because wherever there is a peak, there are some troughs, and they have to be avoided. So they are there along the way, and my purpose is to highlight those as well, and eventually, hopefully, focus on to some proposals as to how best to implement a strategy that will help Turkey occupy the number one spot in healthcare tourism. And I propose to do a SWOT analysis in order to focus on to that. And why am I going back? Am I going anywhere with this? Oh, that's more like it. Yes, that's what I have already said, I believe. And what we want to do is do a SWOT analysis. So focus on the strengths of the system, the weaknesses, the opportunities that come along the way, and the threats that are posed by other countries, from within, and from the practices that we adopt, etc. So all of that I hope to focus on. But focusing on the strengths first, and I believe the first thing is that this tradition of medicine is no strange phenomena, it's no recent phenomena in Turkey. It is an age-old phenomenon, and it goes back, I believe, to the 12th century. Gavin Missy, is that right? Was that one of the first? Gavin Missy. Is that name familiar? No. Gavin Missy, the princess.
Your history is better than ours.
It is? Okay, so 1100 and something. Yeah, and she started this tradition, and there was a hospital and a teaching facility that was put up. So that's what I visited. I wish I had put in the photograph, but I didn't want to take too much time. But anyways, so there's that tradition, a centuries-old tradition, and there are things that have been done by Turkish professionals, which has meant that they have gone abroad to teach medicine in Russia, in the European Union, in the former Eastern Bloc countries. So there is that excellence which is existing, and there are regional aspirations. Obviously, we were just talking a little while ago before the commencement of the session about how certain hospitals have ventured out to Europe and to Amsterdam, to Germany, and that's how we achieve them. So there are regional aspirations that we have seen, and there is obviously with Turkey is not an unknown factor. Turkey is probably one of the most frequented tourism destinations. And that's how we are part of this tourism conference. And that really puts into perspective the fact that we're not talking about an unknown factor. So it's an established tourism destination, and we're really building upon that. And there is obviously Turkish Airlines, as the minister said, which is a hub. Now it makes Istanbul a hub for all sorts of travel, and therefore that's a strength. There are existing streams of patients from within the region and outside of the region. So I have been witness to people from South Korea coming over to Turkey for the. It'll happen with time. The habit will come. I will start to say Turkey eventually and consistently. So the South Koreans coming here for air transport. It's the Americans coming over for all sorts of treatment, etc. So that's the extra regional content of it. And the regional streams, of course, are from the neighboring countries, from the neighboring Arab and African world, and from West Europe as well. So yeah, this is where we are. This is where the strengths of the system lie. And if we focus on the weaknesses now, and I'm sorry to say this is what it is. It is a grand bazaar. Yeah? You name the price and you get what you pay for. And that's the thing to focus on. You get exactly what you pay for. So if you pay less, you can get away, like the minister was saying, in a restaurant. When you don't get good food, that's all right. You know, it's a bad experience. You put it down to a bad experience, you don't do it again. But you can't afford to do that with healthcare. And I think that was a very important point that he made. And therefore, it's important to have a price point selection. How does one do that? And there can be various ways of establishing that. But the principle here has to be, if we don't value what we provide, how do we expect a patient to value what we provide? I think it's as simple as that, basically. And anything given for free is never valued, believe me. I've been in this industry, and this holds true for many other industries as well, that if you give something for free, people will find fault in it. It wasn't good enough, right? So there has to be that kind of pride in the services that we provide and a price association with the quality that we are confident of providing. And for that, there needs to be a market regulation, the hospital service regulation, the kind of services that are provided, how they are provided, and there is obviously the patient selection. We don't know how to say no. And I think it's the most important question that I, as a facilitator, have faced, to be able to say no to a potential client. I'm sorry, but I don't think we will be able to make you happy. And this we need to learn to say. Right now, anybody and everybody is welcome. That, I believe, is a disaster in waiting. And with this, if we can overcome these weaknesses, there needs to be the quality assurance, which I assure you is presently not being monitored consistently. Maybe within individual organizations, but not across the board. Another thing that the minister alluded to, the former minister, was the warranties for post-operative care. If we are confident of the service we provide, then it should be no different. What is it that makes healthcare travel actually different from having treatment at home? You go to a hospital at home, you get the treatment, you come back. Something wrong, you go back, and they fix it. But you have to go back. You have to get into a taxi, or you have to get somebody to drive you there and do that. So what stops us from telling a potential client who's traveling abroad with us, okay, we're providing you the treatment. If there's something amiss, you still need to come to us, pay for your airfare, pay for your hotel, and we'll put right what isn't right. So simple things like that can actually give an expectation to the client and remove the room for complaint and dissatisfaction to some extent. And of course, there needs to be the regulation of the professionals, so professional indemnity insurance, medical negligence insurance, and this needs to be done at the government level, where some warranties need to be in place, that if somebody dies, if something happens, heads roll, right? The last week, there was a report carried by the independent, 3 people dying of having bariatric surgery in Turkey, and they were from Ireland. Northern Ireland. So that makes news. You see, if a dog bites a man, it doesn't make news. It won't come in the newspaper. But if a man bites a dog, that does make news. Right? So these negative things will be reported. And it is only because of such reportage that what we have are mixed opinions. And same thing that the former minister said was word of mouth. Nobody likes to tell a bad story unless it's very bad. And this is very bad, which is what the newspaper carried. We were just speaking a little earlier about how there had been advertisement of dental clinics in Turkey on the London Underground, the metro paper, and how the mayor of London jumped upon the opportunity to say, no, we don't want that. So yes, the mood is already in waiting to criticize. Let's not feed it. Let's not give it any opportunity to pounce upon us and to call us a bad destination for healthcare. There are mixed opinions, believe me, and it's not pleasant. And this is by far the biggest threat that I see to the current placement of Turkey as a healthcare destination. Let's look at the opportunities. And I think this is fairly simple and straightforward. We've got to build upon the existing patient streams. We've got to therefore strengthen, grow our market share, and build brand Turkey. And then once we've done that, we need to project it. And when I say this, I don't want this to be lost in semantics. The point is, you can bring tens of people to a facility to seek treatment. You can bring maybe hundreds of people to a facility to seek treatment. This day and age, facilities need to project themselves to where there is a lack of facility. In countries where healthcare is not as widely available, accessible, or even affordable. This is not a charitable enterprise, so it won't be, but as a competitive, to seek a competitive advantage, we have to take the facility where the patients are, and imagine treating thousands of patients. So providing the benefit of one to many. We've done it in bits and pieces. As a facilitator, for as long as we were part of Europe, we would have European surgeons and dentists come over to the UK and provided them their expertise to 25, 30 clients for consultations on one single day, and also some treatments when it came to dental treatment. And we had a thriving practice. But I'm not going to talk at length about that. The point was, it was getting the specialists to come to the patients and providing the benefit of one to many. And that is what needs to be done when we say in acquiring international market share. It is not by getting people to come over to Turkey, but Turkey to grow with the rest of the world. Turkish healthcare to go there. That is what it means. And what are the threats? The threats, if we start, yes, we've done it, we're number one, we are happy, and this is it. We're going to stay here. No, we are not. Unless we make a very determined effort to stay at this place. And it requires more effort, more determination, greater introspection to find out what's wrong, and a sincerity to put it right. And this is what will help us maintain that position that we occupy today. And there are others that are on the rise. So Latvia, Lithuania, the Poles, the Czech, Hungarian, Slavic, all of them, they're all waiting out there, and they are more competitively priced. But let me tell you also something else. You don't find a difference from one facility to the next. They're not about undercutting each other. I think the biggest disadvantage that we have over here is that we feel threatened by each other. We shouldn't be. If healthcare Turkey grows, we all benefit. This is how big the market is. And this is how we need to approach it. But if we keep the infighting there, then we will only harm ourselves. And we are fighting on prices. We are lowering our prices and lowering them further in order to secure that patient. Let me share something else with you. The lower the cost of acquisition of the patient, the worse is the quality of the patient. Right? The greater the cost for complete. So let's please do ourselves a favor and put the pricing right there, not have that kind of segregation within our market on price, but let's have an association of providers that actually safeguards, regulates, and projects the interest of the healthcare industry. There is Arabia waiting. Saudi Arabia is making great strides to establish their financial viability beyond oil. And they are making great strides. There are other countries. Jordan has a surplus of healthcare facility in the private sector that is lying in wait because there are no more Libyans going there, no more people from Africa going there as freely as they were before. So there are other destinations which are in competition, and these are potential sources of revenue stream for Turkey. And we are avoiding high-value treatments. Another thing that the minister pointed out about telemedicine, about diagnostics, etc., about getting you don't need for a cosmetic surgery patient or for a hair transplant, you need to talk to a local consultant, nobody is there. But for high-value treatments, cancer, oncology, for brain surgery, neurosurgery, etc., for spinal surgery treatments, etc. Yes, they've had an MRI. Where is the report? Where are the images? So they need to receive the report, needs to receive evaluations need to be done. Those are high-value treatments. This is where the market share should grow, and it's not at the present moment. Our focus is on the easy pickings. That's dental, that's ophthalmology, that's plastics, obesity. Those are the things that we are concentrating on, which is nice. This is very nice. It has helped. It has brought us here, but it will not keep us there because others will thrive on the high-value treatments and establish a reputation of excellence. The reputation for excellence will not come from low-lying pickings, from low-hanging fruit. It will come from the higher up, the fruit that is higher up. So what are the proposals? And here, the data collection simply alludes to the government taking stock of how many people are coming for treatment to the country, in what categories, right? And for to what effect. So, what is the level of satisfaction, etc. Everybody runs the survey. Even when your flight is landing by Turkish Airlines, you get a survey at least. And they ask you, do you want to participate? You don't want to participate. If the flight's been average, you don't want to participate. If it's been exceptionally good, you want to participate. If it's been exceptionally bad, you want to participate. Right? So somewhere, this data needs to be collected, and once we have the data, believe me, we'll find ways of analyzing that data fruitfully. And in order to gain the market intelligence that we need, and that will help us regulate the market, which is the next step. That we regulate the market in order to enhance customer satisfaction. There needs to be that professional regulation that I was talking about. There have been moves recently of registering doctors to hospitals and where they may operate. It'll be a breath of fresh air to see how well this is followed up and to what effect this is followed up. And if whether or not there is that sort of, any legislation is as good as its implementation. So will it be implemented is what needs to be seen. And if we do this, we'll have the quality. And that quality assurance will feed into the loop again. Because once you set out to assure quality, you find out that there are missing items that need to be attended to. So it's a loop, and it's a circular loop, and that is what will allow us to refine our steps in delivering healthcare. And one of the biggest things that we have neglected, and again the minister did say, so I wasn't praising him unnecessarily, he did talk about all of these things, communication. And this communication is, yes, in the diagnostic phase, where we bring in things like telemedicine, where we bring in things like having specialist mobility, so the specialists traveling to deliver consultations, etc. There should be a route, an easy route to go to Arabia, to go to Africa, and those countries where you have local representatives bringing together potential customers and for them to go and carry out consultations over there and bring in a number of patients every time. So a rota can be there for different specialisms. So that's how this communication is not on the limited sense of the ability to speak English. Yes, that needs to be attended to as well, because right now, the English speakers are limited to the patient services, not the patient satisfiers. So there needs to be, in the ward, English must be spoken, it isn't. And post-operatively, that engagement, that communication, which again, you have to be available to the customer. That's again something that the minister said, even after the treatment, and take responsibility. So that communication has to be there. And with all of these I's dotted and T's crossed, we will be prepared to make a shout about it regionally and internationally. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I have to say. I'll be very happy to answer any questions. We have 9 minutes in which to tell me that what I've talked about was all bullshit. This is not what it actually is. I'd like to hear somebody say that I have missed the point totally and to educate me, please. Yasmin, you did say there was a prize for somebody who asked the question. Did you not say that? Please,
Thank you, Zaid. As a medical tourism professional, having worked with Turkey for many years, are you really optimistic with your suggestion of some market regulations and professional regulations? You know what I mean? Do you think we can manage it?
I have been saying this for a very long time. Thank you very much for that question. I have been saying it. When you keep knocking at the door, something gives way. Either the knuckles that are knocking there, or the wood that is being knocked on. And I hope that the door will open eventually. And I think it's down to the providers. The government is putting in a lot of money, has put in a lot of money when it comes to marketing ventures by the providers. The providers now need to go back, the serious providers need to go back to the government and say, look, the money you give us is fine, it's very well appreciated. We go abroad, we promote Turkey as a destination, but we need to do some things at home. The impression, the reputation abroad is not right. So I think this communication, again, has to be built, this dialogue has to be put in place. It's not there. We have conferences, we have speakers, it's all said and little done and forgotten about until the next time, the next year. And that is why ad nauseum we hear it again and again and again. I suppose the onus is on the healthcare providers. They are getting, the problem is they are getting their share of the market and they think they are satisfied. They need to be given a vision. The vision again that the minister talked of sitting at Atatürk Airport back in the early 80s, in 1982 he said. And that is when he, with the Prime Minister as well. At that time, he shared the vision that they wanted to make Turkish Airlines, but the better airlines, take to the skies. And they did that. So this is exactly what we're talking about. If we don't talk in 2022 of making this a dream and a vision, it will not happen. Thank you very much.
How are you?
Thank you, Zanit, for this wonderful speech. And hopefully we can transform our weaknesses into strengths, like you said, as soon as possible. And now I'd like to invite Mark Akker to the stage to make a speech from B2B Encounters.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, thank you. For those of you who do not know me yet, I would like to make a short introduction, then I would like to get to know you. I will ask some questions to determine the ratio of travel agents within the audience. My name is Mark Akker. I'm the founder of B2B Medical Encounters Network. It's a professional company. It's actually an international network of medical tourism professionals from around the world. We have been active for 12 years. We have so far organized 16 international medical tourism events. They are networking, mingling workshops, more like speed dating activities where we bring together medical tourism facilitators, agents, buyers from different countries, together with clinics, doctors, big hospitals, university hospitals, sometimes governmental institutions in a professional environment. We have been organizing events in many different countries, starting, okay, our company is based in Istanbul, Turkey, but our networking events and our network itself is pretty much all over. We have organized events before in Italy, many times in Spain, in Russia, in United Arab Emirates, in Morocco, in Israel, Germany. So each time when we choose a location, a destination to organize a gathering event of medical tourism professionals, we go there. We work with their hospitals. They are either incoming destinations for medical tourism, I mean destinations that are attracting foreign patients to themselves. In that respect, they are competitors of Turkey. Or we go to destinations that are the sources of patients, that are sending out patients to different locations, to different destinations from their original location, such as Russia, such as United Arab Emirates. That is discussable. I wouldn't say United Arab Emirates is a market for medical tourism, but anyway. So either we go where the patients come from, or we go where the patients go to. In any case, it takes us around a year to prepare a gathering event. We work with the medical professionals of that destination. We visit hospitals, we hold meetings with their clusters, with their associations. We listen to them, we understand how they get patients, what type of patients they get. And then we also try to understand who gives them the patients. Sometimes it's a governmental institution, let's say Ministry of Health of a small Middle Eastern country. They have a department for sending out patients. It is the duty of this department. So either we work with the manager of this department, or sometimes it's an insurance company. In Russian-speaking countries, this is very common. There's a private health insurance company which gives the patients away, gives them, sends them, delivers them. So this has given us a know-how of how medical tourism is managed, regulated, made, performed in the world, in different countries. Me and my team, we have become so-called experts of medical tourism internationally. So That's why I suppose the organizers of this conference have given me the topic, global health tourism today. So I will try to convey you what's happening in the world in different countries other than Turkey, because most of us are pretty much focused on Turkey. We don't look around. We don't see what's happening in our competition in the world. So let's not just simply talk about Turkey, praise Turkey to ourselves. I suppose now majority of our participants here are tourism professionals, not medical tourism related people. Am I wrong? May I ask you to raise your hands if you are a tourism professional, not a medical tourism professional? Not the majority, you are actually the minority. Can I ask the opposite? Who in this room are from medical tourism industry already? Okay, we are almost equal. Anyway, so I will try to make very simple descriptions. This information I'm going to convey, do I change the slide myself? Okay, the information I'm going to present is nothing new for medical tourism professionals. They already know this. So sorry for if I'm going to be boring. But for tourism, because this is a tourism conference. This whole thing is a tourism conference, and inside the tourism conference, we are holding a medical tourism, let's say, satellite session. That's why I was expecting more tourism agents, more hoteliers, more conventional tourism professionals to be listening to me. I was trying to give them the what do they call it, the big picture, or let's say the overall pictures about what's happening in the world about medical tourism. I would like to, I would like to summarize the periods of medical tourism over the last decade. I have been in this for a bit more than a decade, so over the past decade, we had periods. The classical period, I would name, medical tourism was not a very popular business. It was not defined as a professional business. It was done. Some countries, well, of course, there has been a legacy and history for centuries. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the past decade only, modern times medical tourism. It has always been there. Countries like United States, Germany, United Kingdom have always been receiving international patients, mainly from the Middle East, for advanced medical care, for advanced medical procedures. They didn't advertise for it. They didn't do marketing. They were receiving patients through governmental channels automatically, without doing any effort for it. India, for economic reasons. Russia, for political reasons. Believe it or not, but there has been, and there still is, an ongoing medical tourism within the CIS, all those Russian-speaking countries. They are still sending to Russia. They have always been those Central Asian republics and remote provinces of Russia have always been sending patients to Moscow, to St. Petersburg for advanced technology or advanced medicine, I would say. Germany and Switzerland, for the reputation of medical care, have been receiving patients forever. So this, I would define the classical period. We have done it, and medical tourism existed, but nobody has looked into it as a professional business. It was just happening. The second period, I would say, has started with the collapse of the Soviet Union. When the Soviet Union dissolved, big numbers of people, and especially medical professionals, have immigrated. They left Russia or their Russian-speaking country. They moved westwards, either to Europe or USA, and a big number of physicians, medical, let's say, professionals, not only doctors, nurses, and others, have moved to Israel because there has been a big Russian-speaking Jewish community in Russia. They were not able to travel before the collapse of Soviet Union. And when they were allowed, more than 1.5 million of them have moved to Israel. It was a big mass immigration. Today, the population of Israel, I would say 1/5 of the population, they are Russian speakers. There are more Russians than Israelis. They immigrated to Israel, doctors, nurses, medical technicians. They started working at Israeli hospitals. And they have attracted their own patients. Their old clients, old patients from Russia, they went to Israel to see their doctor who has been treating them for some time. The availability of Russian language and the availability of medical technology, because Israel has a good perception in medicine. They are one of the pioneers in medicine. They usually are the first providers of some advanced techniques. This ALS disease. Do you remember the ice bucket challenge we used to do in Facebook times? That was to raise awareness about a certain disease that Stephen Hawking also suffered from. That ice bucket challenge disease, the ASL, that's a muscle disease, still is known to be not curable. Whereas in Israel, it is not curable. They have discovered the cure and they have just commercialized it. So they are usually the first ones who bring into market the new treatments, advanced treatments. They either are, they compete with USA and in Germany in this respect. So with this advanced scientific posture or image and availability of Russian language, they have attracted thousands of Russian-speaking patients. They are the main competitor of Turkey still today. They receive more patients from Azerbaijan than Turkey does. Azerbaijan is culturally and geographically the best neighbor of Turkey. They are cousins, if not brothers and sisters. But they send more patients to Israel than they send to Turkey. Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, all those Central Asian republics, and Russia itself, and Ukraine itself, and other Russian-speaking small countries in Europe like Moldova, they send a lot of patients to Israel. Israel is an expensive destination. They are terrible at serving compared to Turkey. I mean, they don't translate documents for free. They don't do airport transfers for free. They are very bad at serving, whereas they receive more patients than we do. So it's not always about being very hospitable, being very welcoming, having the best drivers and then translators available for free. It's not always about giving more than what the patient needs. A country that, sorry about my language, that sucks at service may still be better in competition than us. Okay, Germany has received, I would say Germany is the second after Israel in terms of receiving Russian-speaking patients. They have always been culturally connected, related. Russians always have believed that there is good medical care in Germany. Have you read Dostoevsky's books? I mean, in the books, the characters, imaginary characters, they go to Germany, to Baden-Baden, for well-being or for healthcare purposes. So, 1 or 2 centuries ago, the perception about Germany was still very high. They believe Germany is a place to go for healthcare. So this is collective memory. Russians remember Germany, or they have been told that Germany is, my timer is not started. So I still have the full duration. Anyway, I'll finish when I finish. It's too late. Germany started receiving big numbers of Russian patients. Still, we are at the collapse of Soviet Union period. So this period has triggered something. Government awareness. Some governments, like Turkey, clever governments who are looking into the future, have been observing what's coming up next, what business is on the rise, in what business should we invest. And then governments like Turkey, Korea, Spain, Malaysia, and Jordan have realized that Russia is a huge market with its huge population, and there are big numbers of international patients generating big income for countries like Germany and Israel. So why don't we play the same game, they said. And this is, I would consider, the third period of medical tourism. So these some smart countries have started building incentive programs, support programs. I would say Turkey has the best. I mean, in terms of support, our Minister of Trade, I don't know if anybody from Minister of Trade is available here, but I must express my gratitude to them as a medical tourism professional for their ongoing support. They have been more supportive than the Minister of Tourism, more supportive than the Minister of Healthcare. They have actually led this business. So with the support of, with the Turkish government support, many of the Turkish private clinics have looked into medical tourism as an opportunity. They started advertising. They started advertising in crazy ways, trying sometimes stupid methods that we know will not work, and they did not work. But thanks to Turkish Ministry of Trade, we could spend only 30% of the actual cost of these crazy attempts. Other countries listed here on the screen have also support programs of the government. They have also wanted, their governments also wanted their private hospitals to attract patients from abroad, particularly from Russia. But this perception should change. Russia is not anymore the best market for medical tourism. Still a strong market, but it's not #1 source of international patients anymore. Most of the colleagues, especially from big hospitals, not aesthetic surgery, not dentistry, not hair transplantation, but if you are from a hospital like Memorial, we have Johan here, they still, when they start marketing, they still want to start with Russian-speaking market, which is a mistake, I would say. We have, sorry, Leslie from Liv Hospital, not speaking about big hospitals, the best 2 hospitals in Istanbul. Okay, so coming back to the governments, so these governments have also started investing in medical tourism. Then came the 4th period, I would say, which is private sector awareness. Okay, there were other countries where the governments did not invest in medical tourism, but the private businesses did, such as Italy and Greece. These 2 countries, of course many, but I'm just trying to choose the the ones that have done it at most level. So these 2 countries have also invested in medical tourism privately, private hospital groups. They wanted to market themselves. They hired consultants. They hired teams. I mean, in Italy, two big healthcare groups have hired me personally as their international marketing consultants for medical tourism. But still, these countries are not the best providers. So government support makes a big difference, a dramatic difference, I would say. And then this is not a period. This is not. This has been simultaneously as the other things have been happening. The clusters and associations of medical tourism. This is a category I would like to mention. I wouldn't call it a period, but I called it a period already. But it's a category of marketing. Some of the countries, each one of these rapidly growing countries in medical tourism, they have formed clusters and associations. Turkey is probably one of the countries that has more associations of medical tourism than any other. I don't know. Last time I counted that we had more than maybe 40, 50 medical tourism associations and clusters doing similar things. But these clusters are everywhere. I would say the one in Spain is very actively working and performing well, not because I'm their consultant for the past 5 years, but also because I see how professional they work. The Croatia cluster, I have nothing to do with them. They are doing well. They are organizing professional events just like this one, well organized, well equipped, well performed. Malaysia represents, this cluster of Malaysia is also supported by the government, represents their medical tourism providers everywhere in the world. So they are actively working. So now, assuming that the audience would consist of travel professionals, not medical tourism professionals, I estimated that the question in minds would be, who goes where? Okay, so I'm a travel agent. I am at this conference. I have noticed that there's a medical tourism session here. I just came downstairs to listen to the medical tourism people, what they are saying. And the question in my mind is, okay, if I do medical tourism myself, what's happening in medical tourism? What kind of patients are going to Turkey? What kind of patients are going elsewhere? And what can I do with this? So I try to summarize as as an answer to this question. I try to summarize the leading markets of medical tourism. In medical tourism, there's no such thing. In conventional businesses, in commodity trade, you have buyers and sellers. It's very simple, very defined. Whereas in medical tourism, a country is usually both a buyer and a seller, both a provider and a demander. Let's begin with USA. USA receives from Middle East, still, without any marketing. It is illegal in the United States to pay commissions or referral fees to medical tourism facilitators. It's illegal, strictly illegal. So any hospital in the United States cannot even pay you a referral fee or any kind of contribution, any kind of royalty fee for marketing themselves. Still, they are possibly one of the leading medical tourism incoming destinations. They receive majority of the patients from abroad. Middle East has a trust in USA. If you had a cardiac attack in Saudi Arabia, say, it's very common that these patients would go to the United States for cardiac surgery. They usually receive for advanced treatments. And oncology is still one of their main drivers because they are producers of oncological medicine. They are pioneers of oncological machinery, the devices, the technology. So they still attract a lot of patients. Once again, I want to emphasize, it's not about providing very luxury services for the international patients. It's not about giving commissions. It's not about advertising everybody. USA hospitals can be Anderson Clinic, Houston Clinic, they do not advertise. We all know them. We all know them. And if you are in medical business at all, you know them. They don't advertise. They don't pay commissions. Their government does not help them advertise on Google. So it's not always about having the best service available. If you are good at your job, this is for any business. If you are good at your job, and if you continue being good at your business, you get there. I mean, this is the best marketing. This is the cheapest marketing. This is free marketing. Just be good at what you are doing and continue being good. So this is what USA does. And USA receives from, I go this way. Okay. USA sends to Central America, Mexico. They send dentistry patients, cosmetic surgery patients, and a lot of fertility treatment. The IVF is very popular. US patients go out for IVF for anything, but mainly for these three procedures I summarized. So they travel to Central America mainly because of the proximity. Mexico, Colombia, they receive a lot of patients from USA. Now, the second biggest market, lucrative market in medical tourism is Europe, Western and Central Europe, rich Europe, where the income rates are slightly better compared to others. They still receive Germany, France. Okay, you are surprised with Africa. France is receiving a lot of patients from Africa, all those French-speaking Francophone countries. And UK is still receiving a lot from what we call them, colonies. So UK still receives a lot from ex-colonies. So Europe still receives patients from Africa, Middle East, and the CIS. Some Russian speakers still go to Europe. They receive for diagnostics and checkups, particularly African patients. They have a problem with diagnosis. In Africa, in most of the sub-Saharan African countries, diagnosis is not available. So they get diagnosed in Europe, and they start receiving the treatment in Europe where they get diagnosed. So this is a marketing idea that the Indians are implementing. They are building diagnostic centers in Africa, all over in Africa. And when they do the diagnosis in Africa, they receive the patient to their hospital in India. They usually do it for free. It's a loss. It's not business-wise. The diagnostic center is a loss. It doesn't make any profit. But it attracts, it catches. It literally catches the patients. There are some personalized oncological treatments that are not available in Russian-speaking countries. And again, the advanced surgeries, they are on demand for Europe. And Europe sends to the following countries for following procedures. Eastern Europe, Poland, Romania, Czech Republic, they receive, Hungary by far receives the most number of dental patients from Europe. From United Kingdom, from Germany, patients go to Eastern Europe for dentistry, cosmetic surgeries, and for hair transplantation, of course, they come to Turkey. Turkey is now possibly number one, uncomparable in hair transplantation. Weight loss surgeries are now on the rise. They are very popular nowadays. We receive a lot of patients. Poland does as well. It's not only Turkey who receives bariatric surgery patients. Ophthalmological treatments, and of course, fertility treatments. From Europe, they go to Eastern Europe, from Western Europe to Eastern Europe and to Turkey. Okay, now speaking about Eastern Europe, because I have limited time, I merged it with Balkans, but I would say we should separate them. Balkans is a different market, it's not simply Eastern Europe, but well, countries like Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, they don't, they receive, but they don't send. Whereas countries like Bulgaria, Romania, Macedonia, Kosovo, they do the opposite. They send, but they don't receive patients. But I put that together. Anyway. So Eastern Europe receives for dentistry, rehabilitation and physiotherapy. This is interesting. They have those thermal facilities in Eastern Europe. They receive rehabilitation patients from Russia. Well-being, I would consider. And Eastern Europe sends to, okay, the Balkans, Southeastern Europe, they send to Turkey. But thank you, Zaid, for being careful. You call Turkey, Turkey, no, and I call Turkey, Turkey. They sent to Turkey, to Germany. Okay, Austria and Germany receive a lot of patients from ex-Yugoslav republics. They are very well connected. They have been speaking German for some time. I mean, the main foreign language after Serbian was German in those countries. So most of the advanced doctors, I would say the veteran doctors in these ex-Yugoslav republics, they still speak German and Serbian. And they still have good connections with Austria and Germany. The other countries, Eastern European countries, they don't send at all. No, but it's very little numbers, I would say, from Poland outbound, from Hungary outbound. Patients don't go out. And okay, so for oncology, traumatology, they come to Turkey usually for plastic surgeries. And for advanced surgeries such as organ transplantations, solid organ transplantations, they go to Austria and Germany. Okay, so this is the best picture I could find about Russian-speaking markets. Now it's very hard after the war. I'm sure I will have to find new names for this geographical area. They are not CIS anymore. I wouldn't say CIS is remain. Anyway, so Russian-speaking markets, including Ukraine, Russia, all those Central Asian republics, they still receive patients within themselves. I mentioned in the beginning, Russia, the capital of the big cities of Western Russia, they still receive patients from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, all those countries. They still receive. And then they recently, just before the pandemic, they started a governmental support program, just like Turkey's program, for medical tourism. They also want to attract now more international patients. And they receive for orthopedics. This is very well established in Russia. Oncology and, okay, this is the topic of a different lecture. Russian medicine is something that they still perform, and it's not like what we know. They have very traditional methods of medicine. Whereas the Russian-speaking markets sends to Israel, I mentioned in the beginning. Germany, they stopped because of the war, but they may restart. South Korea is very popular, especially, particularly eastern cities, eastern provinces of Russia. They send many patients to South Korea and Turkey, of course. And the main treatment they still purchase is oncology, genetic diseases, congenital diseases, and organ transplantations are very popular. Africa. I haven't written it. Okay, this presentation was prepared just yesterday night. I'm sorry. I'm sure you can relate to me. Okay, so Africa sends to France, UK, India, Turkey, Morocco, Tunisia. Okay. Africa is not one. Africa is huge. It's actually the biggest continent with the biggest number of countries. So Libya is also Africa. Senegal is also Africa. So it's hard to look into Africa as one big market, but with limited time I have to do it. So we can divide Africa mainly into 3 chapters. The Northern Africa, more westernized, more European affected, influenced. They are incoming destinations for medical tourism. Tunisia and Morocco are receiving patients from sub-Saharan Africa. Whereas still, sub-Saharan African countries, they are either Anglophone, English-speaking, or Francophone, French-speaking, depending on who has colonized them in the past, They are still sending big numbers of patients, their public and government officials, their business people, they go to their depending on the language they speak, they either go to France or to United Kingdom. Still, Africa is not just a poor continent. They have more rich people than possibly Turkey. I mean, yeah, there is a big poor population, but they have very rich population as well. They have visas. They have even UK passports. Some of them have French passports. They can travel easily. So they still go and get treated in France and UK. And for those, I would consider the middle class who can afford traveling not that far, who cannot afford that far, they go to Morocco, Tunisia, and Turkey is now very popular in most of those African countries too. Okay, I have mentioned which treatments they send for. Here they go for diagnostics, technology-based, technology-oriented treatments, and non-surgical procedures. Okay, so this is Middle East. Okay, so this is Middle East. I found the image but not the title. They sent to USA, to United Kingdom, and to Germany by far. They prefer being treated in countries that they rely on, that they have confidence in. They believe any system in Germany is better than anywhere else in the world. So they also believe in medical system in Germany is better. They sent for literally everything. Okay, so come back. Okay. Of course, we have countries like India, which is mainly an incoming destination. They don't send, they receive from many different places. We have countries like South Korea. They don't send, they receive. So, with limited time, I have to finish my summary of what's happening in the world. I just want you to look at this picture. This is the world map. I try to cover many different regions and countries and languages and cultures. So if you are a newcomer to medical tourism, or if you are an existing player of medical tourism, I am sure you have what we call the company blindness. You see, you are so used to selling one product from one region and sending them towards a certain region, you don't see what's happening elsewhere. Mr. Zahid Hamid is one of the most experienced, possibly literally the most experienced medical tourism professional in this room. And he knows very well the UK markets, the European markets, but I encourage you, Zahid, to look into Russian-speaking markets. There's big business there. I encourage you to look into Korea as a provider, as a solution provider destination. Same for you, Johan. You have been focusing on IVF treatments for a very long time. I'm sure you skipped over some markets. You are not focused on Africa. I'm not sure. I respect you as a specialist, as a medical tourism expert who has been in the business for more than a decade now, almost a decade now. And we have Esli from New Hospitals Group. I'm sorry if you are not from Hospital Group. Okay. So Esli from New Hospitals Group, we are so focused with certain markets, we don't see the big picture. And the newcomers, tourism agents who are looking into medical tourism, please don't see just dentistry, aesthetic surgery, and hair transplantation as an opportunity. There is much more in medical tourism than this. I have tried to summarize what's happening in the world as a topic of this presentation. Thank you for listening to me. I have a few more minutes. I don't know how many. A few more minutes, do I? Okay, I have a few more minutes for questions, if any. Okay. Ladies first. Okay, there's
So, for example, like you are the expert of the medical tourism
Yes,
events. You like I can say with reference to my experience. So, when you select the companies, like it can from the hospitals and medical tourism companies, what's your prior to you select and you see the market? For example, like you invite to B2B events. So, when you do the market research, like how do you combine?
for the events.
Events, you're like an expert in your sector.
In the beginning, it's all based on who pays comes. I'm going to use a Turkish proverb, sorry for non-Turkish speaking guests. Parayı veren düdüğü çalar. This used to be in the past, but now with this much experience and popularity, we do not simply register or welcome anyone who wants to attend our events. We select them. They must be referred, they must have references. Either a hospital or an agent or a medical tourism facilitator or an insurance company. They must document us for how long they have been doing medical tourism, if they are serious about it. Me personally, I don't care the potential in volume. I don't care about it. I don't care how many patients they send, how many millions of euros they sit on. This is not my criteria. My criteria is if they sound and feel serious and professional. If this is a hobby for a medical tourism facilitator, not a business, they are not interesting anymore. But if I see a professional medical tourism company eager to grow, still not very advanced, still a small company, but they have a professional approach to our business, they are welcome because all of us, we have experienced very small companies growing into the market leaders. Is it okay to mention this Ukrainian company, Evgeny's company? Bukime. They were very small. They were just an office of 50 people. Now they are dominating the online medical tourism markets. So they were welcome to my events. When they were small, when they were just a bunch of students trying to, or just a bunch of young engineers trying to build a medical tourism company. So I base my preferences on intuition, sezgi. Sezgi ile hareket ediyorum, not data. I'm not sure if I could answer your question. And then there's the big hospitals sometimes. They do stupid things and they get forgotten. Those very big, huge university hospitals, some places in Turkey and elsewhere, they will be forgotten soon. They are not professional. So it's not. Thank you very much. And the question from the gentleman.
Selahattin is my name. I think
we met before, I know you, yes.
Before, but first time I've seen your face. It's a pleasure for me that I learned a lot of things from you.
Yes,
the first thing is very related to her question. I'm asking about future of medical tourism because as far as I know, there is one digital world and everything is in digital. Now, the most beautiful before and after photos are getting something or if you are paying more on Google, maybe you will be there. But on the other hand, as far as I know, CIS market very known. They need all the time mouth to mouth, and they want to trust their doctor. They want to see all the things. How is going to be in the future with more digitalization, or it will be balanced? What's your
less digital marketing is not sustainable anymore. Google advertising on Google or social media like Instagram, Facebook is too expensive. It's not sustainable anymore. And particularly for procedures, medical procedures such as hair transplantation, aesthetic surgery, dentistry, these are B2C, business to consumer oriented specialties. The decision is made by the patient himself or herself. You can attract such patients from Google or from online marketing. Whereas there is a huge volume of medical tourism sitting on B2B or B2G, business to business or business to government aspects of medical tourism, such as oncology is still the main money maker, or an organ transplantation patients. brings more money into a hospital, 100 times more than hair. I mean, you need to transplant 100 hairs or implants, almost 200 dental implants to a patient to make the same revenue compared with the organ transplantation patient. So there's still big volume here, and it is offline. You cannot advertise organ transplantation online. No family with a baby born with a congenital disease, this family would never shop online. They wouldn't make their decisions. They are not buyers online. They would go to their local Ministry of Health, local doctors. There's a lot of offline marketing here, which are for free, which are more prestigious. So for procedures like dentistry, aesthetic surgery, hair transplantation, and ophthalmology, still online marketing is an instrument of marketing, but now it's too expensive. And all of us, Turkish providers, we are competing with each other using only this instrument. Why? Because Turkish Ministry of Trade is subsidizing 70% of our marketing expenses. So it's very cheap for us, but still, if you add the 70% on top of what you actually spend, it's very expensive. So once this support program stops, I hope it never will, but once this Turkish Ministry of Trade stops supporting us, the expenses are unbearable. We cannot use this method anymore. So this is not a sustainable method. I would say these procedures, these specialties will also have to look into offline marketing methods, where experts like us come in. I mean, okay, I have some colleagues sitting here on the front seat, they are speakers. We have been doing this before online marketing. We know what can be done, what should be done, how it should be done without online marketing. Feel free to mingle with us, feel free to network with us, but online marketing, I believe, is no more. A few more years, then it's too expensive. And patients also know it's so easy to present yourself better than you are. I mean, anyone can go to Instagram and present itself very big, very nice. So we are all consumers here. We shop online. I don't trust just the image on Instagram. I want to see the offline presence of that clinic too. I think Johan is going to speak about this a little bit today.
I'll touch it.
Okay, please. He's an expert on marketing, international hospital marketing. And he has been living in Turkey for some time, thanks to his wife, Argelin. So thank you, Johan. We will see you. Buyurun, please. Please repeat, because you can't interpret.
MedClinics Turkey'de bir soru olacak. MedClinics Avrupa Turizm merkezinde bizim turizmde şirket Turizm Bakanlığı'na bağlı. Bir yandan biz ticaret odasına bağlıyız. Bir yandan da sağlık. Benim izlemim gördüğüm dışarıda olarak. Bizim iş biraz karışık ve yasalarda da biraz sıkıntı var. Müşteri güveni olayı tam sağlıklı olarak alınamıyor. Çok merdiven altı işler yapıyor ve izlenim orada konuşuyor dışarıda genelde. Burada orada şimdi. Benim izlemim bir sıkıntı var düzenlemede. Yani yurt dışındaki, batıdaki insanlar için güvence olayında bir sıkıntı var. Bunu bir bakanlıklar yani üçe bölünmüş. Bir tarafta Sağlık Bakanlığı, Turizm Bakanlığı, öbür tarafta Ticaret Bakanlığı. Yani genel anlamda müşteriye yani gelen turistler için güvence olay. Çünkü en büyük sıkıntı güvence dediğiniz gibi eğer bu teşvikler kalktığı vakit sadece network'de çalışan bir sistem sonunda düşmeye mahkumdur. Eğer içerik yoksa, eğer farkı yoksa, eğer güveni yaratamıyorsak bu dönem içinde o zaman tek paraya kontrol yaratılmaz. Oradaki bir yapı var mı? Bir de şu da var. Mesela müşteriler fatura alıyor. Çok basit bir soru oluyor. Bu normal KDV satıyor. Bu müşteriler yurt dışına geliyor. KDV satılmasa fatura verirse yani müşteri güvenlikler en büyük sıkıntı yurt dışındaki insanlara batıdan biraz da güven olanı. Yoksa Türkiye'nin kapasitesi şu an için en azından bir kapasitesi.
Do you mind if I answer this question in Turkish language?
Pardon.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Dünyada 3 tane bakanlığın sağlık turizmine destek verdiği tek ülke Türkiye'de, bu bir avantaj. Biraz dediğiniz gibi kafa karışıklığına da yol açıyor. Yani bir yerde Sağlık Bakanlığı'na bağlıyız, Turizm Bakanlığı'na bağlıyız, bir yandan da Ticaret Bakanlığı'ndan destek alıyoruz. Ama çok uyumsuz değiller, birbiriyle çelişen şeyler yok. En azından bu devlet düzeyinde bu işe önem verdiklerini gösteriyor. Başka ülkelerde sadece Sağlık Bakanlığı yapan, sadece turizm yapan var. Ticaret Bakanlığı benzeri hiç görmedim. Dolayısıyla bunun avantajını değerlendirmeye çalışalım. Bir süre sonra oturacaktır. Ben şeylere de katılıyorum. Devlet tarafından düzenlenen çalıştaylar oluyor. Bakanlığın düzenlediği. Daha 2012'de bu şimdi kullandığımız teşvik kanunu ilk çıktığında 2011 senesinde hepimizi çağırdılar. Böyle bir kanun çıkaracağız, sizi teşvik edeceğiz, gelin dediler. Kimse ciddiye alıp gitmedi. Ben gidenlerdendim. Ankara'da çok sıkıcı bir toplantıydı ama inanın orada konuşulur, not alınan her şey bugün hala uygulanıyor. Yani devlet şeyi ciddiye alıyor, özel sektör dinliyor. Dernek vesaire varsa onu bir daha çok dinliyor. Eğer sizin bir cluster'ınız, bir kümelenmeniz işte ilgili, hizmet ihracatçıları birliği şimdi biraz o aynı şeyi yapmaya çalışıyor. Buralarda üyeyseniz bunların düzenlediği çalıştaylara mutlaka katılın ve kapanış metnine, sonuç bildirgesine fikrinizi yazdırmak için ısrar edin. Yani ne gerek var diyeceksiniz, havada su dövüyoruz diyeceksiniz. Yok öyle olmuyor. 3 sene sonra kanunu yenilerken onların referansı, akademik referans gibi bir eline yazılı doküman lazım devlet. Yani çıkıp size sorup tamam benim az önce cevapladığım gibi şey yapamazlar. Sezgiyle hareket edemez devlet. O kanunu değiştirirken hangi dataya göre değiştirir? Dolayısıyla benim size tavsiyem, hangi 3 bakanlıktan hangisi sizi çağırıyorsa, bir toplantı düzenliyorsa, bir yerde varsa gidin. Vaktiniz varsa. Bir şey yarıyor. Yaramaz zannederim yarıyor. Ben çok umutsuzum bu devlet işlerinden ama yarıyor yani. Gördüm, şey yaradığını gördüm. Last question.
My name is Bruno. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's about software technology company.
Software technology.
Sesim geliyor mu? Okay.
Çok iyi.
We develop software solution for medical tourism for clinics. I want to just say, what are you think about using technology in medical tourism in this world, and what is the last situation using technology?
Yani, not in medical tourism, in any business we have to use technology, and softwares are really necessary. That's apart from online advertising. Softwares are necessary for any kind of business. Particularly CRM softwares in our business are very much important. Johan is an expert on that. He is an expert on CRM. He's a good, experienced user of CRM. He's the manager of a team in memorial hospitals. They base their work on CRM usage, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going to answer your question better. But of course, technology implementation is essential. Thank you. Okay, last but not the least.
Yes, my name is Mehmet Hürmüzlü. We are a company of health tourism based in Ankara and Istanbul. Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned in the presentation that patients from Middle East, they don't come to Turkey to get treatment or diagnosis. But we know, on the other hand, we know that we saw a lot of patients in past treated in Turkey from Middle East countries. So, in your opinion, what do you think that changed in this regard?
Nothing. Okay, 2 answers to this question. First, I didn't say patients from Middle East don't come to Turkey. I said patients from the Middle East go to USA and Germany. So this is the major ana akım, I would say in English, mainstream. This is the mainstream of patient traffic. They mainly go to Germany and USA or Western countries. Of course, they always take to Turkey. They always come to Turkey. But, second answer to your question, Middle East is not one. Just like Africa. We have GCC, Gulf Cooperation countries. They are the richest of Middle East. These are the ones that go to USA, Germany, Switzerland. These are the ones that go. But we also have Iraq in Middle East. We also have Jordan in Middle East. We have Palestine in Middle East. They have always come to Turkey because they can afford. They have a good perception of Turkey. They have always been coming to Turkey. They still come. Iraq is possibly, and Libya, if you consider it Middle East, not North Africa.
These have been, these Middle Eastern countries have been the mainstream incoming patient sources for Turkey forever. Nothing has changed. They have always been coming, they will still come. Whereas nothing has changed, Saudi Arabians have never been, have not been coming very often, not very popularly to Turkey. Whatever we do, they will continue going to USA. It's not about giving them cheaper solutions. It's not about giving them the best food, better nurses, better service. They believe USA or Germany is the place they can trust for their health well-being. This is the perception. This needs a generation to change. But Turkey has entered the tunnel. Possibly the second next generation will have a better perception of Turkish healthcare. Not for the time being. I think you and me will be retired 10 seconds. Yeah, I'm almost 50 now, so preparing for my retirement. Okay, thank you, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen.
So thank you for this informative and interactive speech, Mert Akif. I think he introduced you a little bit.
Yes, he did.
But our next speaker is Johan de Letter from Memorial Healthcare Group.
Yes. First of all, Jocelyn and Mert, thank you very much for the introduction. You have to go, please go. You put the bar very high. As Mert's presentation as well, my presentation is about, is actually mentioned for people that want to enter this business initially. So I'm going to talk about scale up. My name is Johan de Letter. I've been in Istanbul for 8 years. I've worked in medical tourism for 8 years. So I've had the pleasure to meet with a lot of companies that have either been successful in this sector or have tried to enter this sector. During my presentation, if you have any questions, very short questions, don't hesitate to get the microphone from Jocelyn and ask them. Before diving deep inside medical tourism, let's take one step back and look at the overall industry that we're working in. We are part of the global healthcare sector. So that is a multi-trillion-dollar business which consumes more than 10% of the GDP of most countries. This is not a sustainable business model. We see in many countries that aging population, that chronic diseases, and that many other aspects are leading to the lack of availability of healthcare solutions and the lack of affordability of healthcare solutions. We've done extensive analysis in the UK, in Germany, in the Netherlands. Waiting times are increasing, and the service level of healthcare is actually declining. Although that the spending is fairly homogeneous, all of these markets are significantly different. The NHS in the UK is fundamentally different than the system in Germany. The solutions and problems in these countries significantly different. If we then zoom in and we look at what is the part of this business that is allocated to medical tourism, we see that in 2022, about $1.3 billion has been spent or will be spent on inbound medical tourism to Turkey. Every time I share numbers on this presentation, please bear in mind, there's a lot of data, open source data. Some people say it's 1 billion, some people say it's 1.5 billion. So take these numbers with a certain grain of salt. According to some statistics, 60% of this revenue goes to elective. So that is the hair transplants, the cosmetics, the ophthalmology, and so forth. So the more easy treatments which are done out of pocket. And maybe 40% goes to oncology, gynecology, organ transplant, and so forth. Now, during the next 15 minutes, I would like to discuss the 4 following topics with you. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to grab the microphone and ask. First of all, your status quo. If you're new to this business, what is your current business model, and to which extent does this overlap with medical tourism? Subsequently, what is your drive and what are your goals? So why do you wish to enter this business, and what do you wish to achieve? Afterwards, we'll have a look at the competitive landscape and selecting your target audience. And finally, we'll have a look at how all of these things come together in a roadmap. Status quo. I was assuming, just like Mary, that most of you guys would be here from the hospitality sector and not from the healthcare business. I've met with hundreds of companies over the last few years that want to enter this business. And in doing so, I've grouped them into 3 different segments. So your status quo, your current business model, defines to a large extent how well you are familiar with the market opportunity in medical tourism, how good you can understand the opportunities, the threats, and the risks. Now, if you take the first group, so people from the healthcare sector, you could be a doctor, you could be a nurse, you could be an insurance provider, you could be a medical equipment seller. Let's say you live in the UK, you're a doctor, and there's certain treatments that your patients are looking for, but they're not able to get these treatments because of price, because of availability, or any other reason. You might want to set up a company in order to send these patients to Turkey. Now, you fully understand the medical tourism. You understand what the patients go through, which medical questions they might have and concerns. But your experience in sales or marketing might not be as good as it can be. Your experience in, for example, operational excellence might not be what it needs to be. So here it is critical to evaluate your strengths, convert them to USPs, and make sure you understand your weaknesses and identify potential partners or employees that can resolve them. The second group is people that come from hospitality. They have, I'm sure, wonderful experience with operational excellence. Managers of hotels, they know very well how to make employees or patients or customers happy. They know how to solve problems. But does a hotel manager or a hotel owner really understand what the medical needs of the patient are? Which key criteria patients are going to use to make their decisions? Most often this is not the case. So in case you're a hotel owner, it might make sense to either employ people that know medical travel or medicine, or partner up with companies that are familiar with this. Then we have the last group. This is a long tail. There's influencers, there's investors, there's a large group of people that have no background in hospitality, no background in medicine, and still they wish to enter this market, which is all fine, but subsequently they also have to look at what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. Now, once we understand what your strengths are and your weaknesses are, we can have a look at your drive and your goals. So why do you wish to enter this business? Is this a strategically critical business for you, just like Mert said, or do you just have some time to spend and you want to generate some extra revenue? Now, some people say, I have a hotel and in the low season, I have extra capacity of employees, systems, and support, and I would like to capitalize on this. This is a wonderful opportunity. This is a good drive and motivation to do so. Some people say, I'm afraid of recession, and healthcare is fairly recession stable or recession proof. So I wish to enter this market. This is also a very good drive. Some people come to us and say, I have time at hand. I just want to do something. That for me might not be the best drive because it doesn't really translate to the allocation of the required resources. Now, identifying your goals. Merit mentioned that he's not focused on numbers. We are focused on numbers. If you don't define your goals, you don't know whether you've been successful in this exercise, yes or no. 6 months from now, 12 months from now, you want to be able to see, did I achieve what I've anticipated to achieve, yes or no? Was the investment of my time, my money, my resources, did it make sense, yes or no? Now, your goals can be numerical, such as revenue, profit margin, number of patients, and so forth, as long as they're specific, measurable, and time-bound. Once you've understood your strengths, your weaknesses, and you understand your goals and your drive, you can have a look at what part of the market do you want to capitalize on. We've grouped this into these 4 different segments. If you're completely new to medical tourism, it makes sense to first start off, which medical treatment do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on a single medical treatment or multiple medical treatments? Why do you want to focus on this specific medical treatment? For example, do you have a background in whichever medical domain it is, or do you have any experience in this domain that allows you to understand this? you want to focus on multiple medical domains or a single one? Do you want to focus on hospitals as a service provider or small clinics or doctors? Do you want to send your patients to a single destination or to multiple destinations? You have to figure out these questions before you start, because if you don't figure out these questions, you will not understand who your target audience is, and you will not understand what your value proposition is. In the next step, we look at location, payer, and patient type. Which countries do you want to send your patients from? It makes sense to start with one country. Some people start with multiple countries because that's a bigger market. Multiple countries requires most often multiple languages, makes it much more complex. Why would you want to focus on these locations? Do you know these locations? Do you have a stable network in these locations of people that can help you? Will you focus on out-of-pocket, so cash patients, insured patients, or patients that are paid by government? Once you've identified these aspects, I invite you to really drill down. The better you understand your target audience, the more you will understand the concerns, the questions they have, the competitive landscape, and how your value proposition will resonate with their requests. Then we come to value proposition. How do you present the value that you wish to provide to a patient? What is it? Will you provide value before, during, and after treatment, or only before treatment? Is your knowledge going to allow the patient to make a decision for better healthcare, cheaper healthcare, more comfortable healthcare, more luxurious healthcare? What is it that you're actually going to bring as a value to the patient? And this can be you provide the cheapest one. That's a possibility, but you have to be consciously aware of this. For example, do you have a post-op control facility that if you send patients to a country, they come back home, that they can go to a certain facility, have a checkup, have a diagnosis, is everything okay? Is there anything else you need, yes or no? Are you going to send patients to specific locations, or will you give patients the ability to choose? Some facilitators say very simple, this is the doctor, clinic, or hospital I work with, that's where you'll have your treatment. While other facilitators give multiple options, say, objectively, these are the options available, you can choose, and we'll support you. Now, once you have done all these things, you can want to sell the best medical treatment in the most beautiful country and have a great value proposition. If you don't know how to bring this to market, if you don't know how to sell this, your company will stay empty. You will not have any revenue. So it's critical to understand how will you generate awareness. Do you have a network of medical specialists or other specialists in the country that will send patients or referrals to you? Are you going to activate, for example, online marketing campaigns? This could be organic, this could be paid, whichever one of the two. Are you going to have traditional marketing activities such as the one here today? Are you going to have sessions with patients on locations? Make sure that you understand this. And subsequently, what I would always advise, when you have a goal, let's say 500,000 euros revenue, distribute your goal based upon the treatment, the location, and the sales and marketing channel. If, let's say, you want to have 500,000 euros revenue, and you separate it in 5 different business units like this, after 6 months or 1 year, you can see how much did you invest in each of these and what was the financial outcome of each of them. Subsequently, it makes sense to focus more investment on the treatment, the country, and the marketing and sales channel that generated the most return. This is a sample of execution risk. It's a bit what Merit mentioned as well. So let's take an example, just for the sake of calculation. Again, this really depends. These numbers are fictive numbers, so don't base any business model or whatever on this. And these conversion rates and calculations depend to a large extent on your status quo, the available resource, how professional you are, and so forth. But let's, for assumption's sake, you want to have 500,000 euros revenue. You have an average order value of 2,000 euros. that means 250 patients. You have an average cost per lead through online advertising, as an example, of 15 euros. 5% conversion, and you have 50 leads capacity for your sales agent on a daily basis. Now, if you allocate these resources in 3 different ways, you will get significantly different outcomes. So, generic scenario. You're going to sell multiple medical solutions. You have one agent selling multiple medical solutions. So that one agent is not specialized in any of these medical solutions. So that one agent will have issues providing answers to the questions of the patients. If you sell, for example, IVF, if you know all the questions on IVF treatment, the medications, the concerns, and so forth, you will give trust to a patient, and the patient will be able to make a decision. The same with obesity, the same with plastic surgery, the same with rhinoplasty, with all of them. So let's say this person is selling multiple medical domains. So his or her conversion rate goes down because he's not as good as answering these questions. People don't have enough faith in this person, and therefore you only have 3%. The person in the back office works with multiple doctors, asking treatment plans for the cases. Therefore, the capacity on a daily basis goes down to 10. So in this case, you actually see that in order to get to 500,000 euros revenue, you need to buy 8,250 leads. That will cost you 123,000 euros, and it would cost one person 41 months. Again, this is all a fictive calculation, right? Now, let's say that you go to a focus scenario, and you say, I want one person dedicated on a single medical domain. This person becomes an absolute expert. Any question that a potential lead or customer is asking, he can answer immediately. The customers feel very confident with him or her, and the conversion rate goes up to 12 leads, to 5%. In addition, because he's more efficient with the doctors and medical staff, with selecting the leads and understanding which person is suitable for treatment and which one not, his capacity or her capacity goes up to 12. Now you see, to get to the same results, we only need 5,000 leads, spend 75K, and we can complete this within 21 months. This is a very common scenario, but here the person uses, as an example, maybe Excel or different tools in order to manage its sales pipeline. Now, if we then go to a focus scenario with seamless sales integration, I like software, I like Salesforce, but I wouldn't call myself an absolute expert in it. I'm a user and I'm a big fan of the right systems. So this system would allow a person to be specialized in one domain, and throughout the whole sales and marketing funnel, this person would see exactly where the leads are, which actions need to be taken. Alerts would automatically pop up to say, call this patient, send this information, and so forth. So the person would have a very good understanding of what are the potential prospects in my sales pipeline and which leads should I not pay attention to. Therefore, you see that the conversion rate goes up, the capacity goes up, and in order to achieve the same financial goal, you would buy 4,175 leads, 62K, and 12 months activity. So this is just an example to if you want to enter the business. I see a lot of people, actually, they come to us and I ask them, what do you want to sell? Every medical domain, everything. From which countries? All over Europe. What's your goal? I want 100 patients in the next 6 months. Thank you very much for your time. That's if you really want to achieve that, either you're a super person or you already have an amazing organization behind you. Otherwise, in reality, that's going to be extremely complex to achieve. This is a timeline. The low-hanging fruit is no longer there. So in the past, when you wanted to have ophthalmology, laser treatment, if you wanted to have any other simple elective treatment, it was a no-brainer to come to Turkey. And it was very easy for facilitators to find patients. So you could step into this business and fairly quickly generate revenue. Now, if you want to enter the business and think back, this is a $1.3 billion business, which is going to grow exponentially. So there is market space for new people to enter if you approach it in the right way. But if you want to enter the business, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to understand that your first patient is not going to be treated within 3 months. Your first revenue is not going to be there in 4 months. People in the medical industry, we've seen this very often, that people come and say, hey, yes, let's sign a contract, and in 2 months I'll send you the first patient. That's overly optimistic. Again, unless you already have an organization behind you that has the capacity to do so. But if you need to do your market analysis, partner selection, optimize the organization, and so forth, your first patient, depending on the type of patient, depending on the competitive landscape, might only be treated after 6 to 7, 8 months. Your first cash flow might only come after 9 months. So again, if you feel that this is a strategic investment to enter this market for the long term, this is a great way to go. If you think that you're just going to spend 10,000 euros, as an example, and generate 50,000 euros within 6 months, if you're successful, I want to learn how you've done it. Another topic which is crucial, and again, this depends from hospital to hospital or clinic to clinic, but just to make it very easy to understand, when you work with hospitals as an agency, the better you collaborate with the hospital, the easier your collaboration will go. If you ask the right questions to the right people, you'll get the right answers. And the better you collaborate, the more productive it will be. Now, if you've never done business in a hospital or with a hospital, and you've defined your target audience, and you've defined your value proposition and sales, you'll first meet with people like me and other people here that are from the sales and business development and marketing department. We'll be more than happy to sit with you to talk about contracts, to talk about prices, to give you details about the hospital or clinic and the doctors. We'll have, if needed, quarterly or annual collaboration sessions and so forth. So that is before you start. Once all that is done and you've started your business, your interaction with this department will reduce, and your organization will be much more in contact with this department. We can call this the medical second opinion department. We can call this the sales support department. These are the people that actually manage your leads. So these are the people, when you have a patient that wants to come for treatment in Turkey, these are the guys that take those medical files, bring them to the doctors, get a treatment plan, and share that treatment plan with you. I'd like to underline here, I always want to have 25% conversion. So sometimes there's companies that come to us and they just, when they get a lead, they send the lead. So without qualifying if the patient is really suitable and willing to have treatment, that is not a sustainable business model, because you have to bear in mind, for many treatments, all of this information goes to the doctors. If the doctor has to evaluate 200 patient files of your patients and not a single patient is coming, eventually the doctor is going to lose its trust in that specific organization's patients. So this department will do the patient planning, administration, and there's some backup departments that do commission calculations and other jobs. Now, once the patient is planned and the patient actually comes for treatment, the patient and yourself will be involved in either the medical or the patient care department. They are responsible for treating the patients. They are responsible for pickup from the airport to the hotel, translation services, and so forth. So again, connect with the right department about the right topic. If you have a question about your patient which is in a hospital right now, I would not ask it to the marketing department. I would ask it to the medical second opinion or the translation department. This is just a last small thing about scale up. When you've done all the previous things successful, and you're already selling multiple medical domains in double-digit numbers, and you really want to make the next step in the organization, then if the organization has not been separated yet, I would have different teams. And I know that Merit said that digital marketing is complex. It's extremely expensive. Yes, the $2 per lead doesn't exist anymore. Many campaigns at $15 to $20 per lead. But digital marketing is not just about paid advertisement. Digital marketing is about your presence on the whole internet. So brand awareness that can also go through non-paid advertisement, that can go through search engine optimization. So digital marketing is crucial over there. Sales, business development, and call center. The more you have in-house, the more you are able to guarantee the quality of services that you provide. The more you outsource, the more complex that will become. Operations, IT, and back office, and then lastly, patient satisfaction. One happy patient becomes an ambassador, and an ambassador for you is of tremendous value. So cherish your ambassadors, allow your ambassadors to speak about you, and maybe even more important than that, if you have a problem with a patient, flag it and solve it right away. It's not going to go off by itself. So identify it directly and solve it. So I would always have a specific person in place to measure the patient satisfaction and to make sure that it's up to the standards that you wish to have. These were the topics that I wanted to discuss with you. If you have any questions, either you can ask them now, later, or you can send me an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Now we have Seda Kulacha from Lake Hospital. Sesiniz geliyor.
Hello, my name is Seda Kulacha. I'm working in the hospital as International Business Development and Marketing Deputy Manager. I'm always forgetting my other title, like for marketing, when I write it so long, but I get used to say. I will keep it very small and short, and today I would like to mention about the importance of strategic networking in healthcare. Every day we are giving our business card to some people. Sometimes even we are just holding in our pockets. So today I would like to mention, like, are we using our business card effective, and also are we using our network in an effective way? So shortly, explain. So our agenda will be like a networking or not working. So how we are using our network, we will start, and I would like to define networking very shortly. Afterwards, we will continue with the importance of networking and how we are prioritize our networking. And also, like Mr. John, I would like to give information about the healthcare ecosystem. Afterwards, I will continue with stakeholders and partners in healthcare, and very briefly, we will give information for the 7 ways to build a strong professional network. So, since we are like we called like a social animals, social beings in the world, so we came from the communication inside. When we started inform about like networking, mention about networking. Always it comes to our mind like the communication between other people, like other friends, and family. But the first question should be asked to ourselves, like how is our communication inside us? Like are we thinking, are we listening ourselves, or are we really know about what we want, what's our demands, what's our purpose? First, we need to know about like first what we want, like we need to be clear inside of us. Second, then we started communicating with people, and we create a social network. And we can call the social network as a set of people or group of people, and it's called actors there, with the same pattern of interactions, or as other versions, like a ties between them. It can be friendships or a group of individuals, business relationships between the companies. And if we go deep down, there's some theories and some analysis techniques in the background of the social network, but I will keep it briefly. So if you mention the importance of networking, we can say 61% of professionals, they find their job opportunities through their network. Or like 73% of professionals, they are hired via their like connections, and 61% of individuals they fund their jobs where big high relationships that for like already they don't give that much importance, but also it can be a very important networks. For example, like you think about, you can be in elevator and you are the 33rd floor, and one guy came into the elevator and he can be the investor of your life, of your time. So what would be your first question in your mind? So within a second, you should be say maybe the first thing, it should be very important, and you can get long time like a business relationship between them. So only 42 percentage they are like reaching out to their already existing the connections. Only 39% of people ask their networks to introduce to other people. And they use in terms of this network, 96% for LinkedIn, and Facebook for Twitter is 82 they use as a social media network. So when we decide about our like to give importance to our network, how we can decide? Okay, every network is important, every people that are talking is very important. But how we can decide to, is it like a paragraph? So when we, as I said, like the first step, like, or the baby, the zero step to understand what we want, what's our goal, our roles. Then secondly, we can say like we should identify the stakeholder, our partner. What's our partner doing? Like to understand them, to be beneficial to them. So after like identifying, then we need to prioritize like the power of the stakeholder. Then also we need to first meet the interest. So if we get the like a low level of interest for both sides, then okay, we inform them but the minimal efforts, like we'll be in touch, but the minimal effort. But as long as we get the high the power and the high interest, it goes like a key player in your business network or your life as a network. So high level but the low interest, like always like they look for like the satisfied and the high interest and the low power, like to keep informed. So how we can keep informed all the networks? It can be like through the marketing, it can be like the B2B events, like Mert always does. So that's kind of like a events and the marketing plans that we can inform our networks. So the point is that I would like to be much more going in details. So I'd like to mention about the ecosystem. So why we call as an ecosystem is because like very complex system. Why it's complex? Everyone like in the world we are already included because there's a possibility that we can be the patient or citizen or like be any part of the business because the health sector, health industry needs trust. We need to be very sensitive. We really need to, first of all, we need to provide the trust. If you're a hospital, if you're a clinic, whatever you do, first we need to know to say no. If you are not able to give any service that you cannot, please say no. As a Cem Yılmaz, we have the famous, the comedian actor. Like he says, I'm explaining for you. Like maybe he says, like as a Turkish people, we don't know how to say no, but we need to know because like it's directly connected to trust. So as a healthcare sector, you can see like all this line is connected to each other. Even like as a healthcare, if you would like to do our network, we can use startups, all the medical companies, medical tourism companies, can be health tourism companies, any even like a hospitals. We are working with the collaborations with the other hospitals. For instance, as a hospital, I can say now Boston Children's Hospital, we have the collaboration even if they are a hospital. The previously they did like for the Cleveland Clinic, so on and so forth. So also though the hospitals can be the option for the network and collaboration. Besides that, like it's we know the government agreements, government network is very beneficial for both sides. Sometimes it can directly between the hospitals and the government. Sometimes like through the government channels, like we can have the network and collaboration with other kind of any kind of the other like companies. So also like we can reach out to the other doctors in foreign countries as well. So in the local authorities, it's the possibility for to do the networking in terms of the healthcare and the labs and the diagnostic center is very important because already the diagnostic comes from labs and the diagnostic center. So it's very important to do the network and the business development part. It depends on the like the hospitals or the clinics activities, but the universities have huge data because already they have a lot of the medical students and they have the doctors, and also in terms of the medical tourism, when I go to other countries, everybody knows about the medical tourism, as also Mert explained previously. Everybody has the information, idea, because also the market is like they don't want to hear about send me picture the patient send me like patient no first they are looking for what kind of benefits they can get from you. For example, like if I go as a business development representative, what can I provide them first of all? If I go to university, they are looking for the information, they are looking for the knowledge. As a our like a hospital, I can say there's a lot of like specific treatments that I can give a training program to them. The fellowship, they are looking for the information, not always to send the vice versa the patient information, the exchange program. Sometimes like to share knowledge is important because also we are trying to get the information. We are trying to learn from all the market, all the cultures. So one of the other parts is like the funders, insurers, like the investors, also the insurance companies. You know, it's like already like we are connected in the healthcare. The associations and the charities plays big role in terms of the medical tourism and also the healthcare sector because we know that in abroad there are a lot of patients, guests, people, they are looking for their treatment, but they don't know how to find their solution or treatment. So through our networks, through our like all the information we share, there's a like a, also with the association and charities, they find their chance to find the treatment, and it's very important. So we some of the and also it's very important to use big data and a lot of data. For example, like the pharmaceutical companies, most of they use and insurance companies as well. They use big data that in their like to marketing plan, like strategies. They are using the data. It should be very important for the healthcare sector as well, like for the hospitals or clinics or medical sector, medical tourism as well. I can give the information. So in terms of the stakeholders and partners in healthcare, very briefly, I can explain that it can be our like a stakeholders, the partners, but for all of them, when we create the communication, the connection between each of them, first we need to understand what they want. Like it's not the important like what can I get from them. Because okay, you can get benefits, but the first thing is everybody looks for like how we can find a mutual part. Otherwise, we will be like just for the seller. But in terms of the long-term network, long-term communication, for both sides should be open to communication for the business part. So in terms of the healthcare, it's very important to have the collaboration for the travel agencies and the airlines. In terms of like the medical tourism companies, general practitioners, pharma companies, like the concierge company is very important, like a hospital vendors, because already they are like they know what you are doing, so it's very important. As we mentioned about the insurance companies, hospital clinics, diagnostic centers, so on, it goes like a medical nurses. So first, like as I mentioned previously, it's important to share first our knowledge. Like we need to know like what we do, and we need to understand what they are looking for. So as a to sum up, I will not take your time so long. So the 7 ways to build a strong professional network. So it's important to just give those when you start communication. If you feel to your like the other people like to like I said something, it will be just irritate people. So when you communicate, because like when I have some business like a B2B events, I can see like everybody is looking to my face. Like when I was doing the health tourism or like when I was working in the other hospitals as well. So you can feel the sense that like people just try to sell. Okay, at the end it's important, but the most important thing is the long-term relationship. So the second part is that we need to listen to clarify this state, think how you can help. So it's important to listen them and be responsive. It's important to ask questions. It's like a comes from like a people like inside. We hesitate to ask questions. Like when we are in a business meeting, everybody's trying to say like in every business we can face with that kind of people like they are just talking. We are hesitating to asking questions, but I learned like a lot of things from like a chef, like a cook, and so it's like you can combine the information with your own industry because of like from for a long time like we combine the medical and the tourism and we are both much more powerful today. So it's important to be positive, express an interest in what others offer to you. So this is one of the important part. So be helpful and offer your advice, connect with others. So if you see any the interest that you can give the advice, like if you can give your advice and you can continue with like being helpful. Cooperation is key in the healthcare and the other industries as well. So when you meet any kind of like it can be a business, so all have their own network. So there is an option for like to combine the networks to make it much more like a powerful. Even it can be like as we mentioned, the hospital vendors. They are already in your hospital and they are providing you with some products. So it can be an also like a collaboration. So just to see to the framework outside is the important part. Focus on what's your unique point. Is it like a first we mentioned? Be sure what you want. It's okay what you are going through, like what's your road. But it's important part like first what you can give to other people first. So it will be better if we go all hand in hand in the the business in the industry. It will be much more powerful. And thank you. You can reach out to me through like a phone and or email. Thank you very much for your time.
Now we have a little break, and at 2 p.m. we'll meet you again here. We have two guests, one from the States and one from Germany. They will speak about patient rights and aftercare, and also systematic marketing development. So have a little break and see you at 2 p.m. Thank you.
All right, welcome everyone. I am Sarah Mokusuri from Surgery Savior, and I'm here to talk about aftercare for clinics and hospitals within Turkey. We focus a lot on patient rights and patient aftercare, which is kind of unique in this space. So I'm Sarah. I am the host of Surgery Savior Turkey, which is on TV, broadcast by TVT World. I'm also the owner of the Surgery Savior company. I've had 8 years experience in the surgery community because I've been working with patients, I've been a patient myself, and I've been working in hospitals in America and in Turkey, so I compared the standards in both places. I definitely also made sure I had a relationship with Tursa and other health tourism boards, so we can talk about improving conditions for medical tourists. So something that's important for us is our relationship with the patients. So I made sure that I have a very close relationship with patients, online and offline. All these surgery groups that I'm sure a lot of clients have heard about, I've been a part of that for many years, like 8 years. So I have a lot of information on patient insight. I also made sure I had a lot of good relationships with the surgeons in Turkey. I was doing interviewing the surgeons every weekend and asking them about their experience and what their opinions are for, surgeon and patient care. So the question is, what is aftercare? So aftercare is everything that happens after the actual surgical procedure. The thing is that typically after the surgery, if the surgery happens in the morning, at about 5 p.m., all the clients, some of the clinic staff, the doctors, they all go home, and the foreign patient is left in the hospital with nurses who usually speak Turkish and maybe not so much English. So what's important is continuing care for the patient after they come to the hospital, after they've had their procedure. Usually patients are discharged to the hotel and they're alone and there's no one to help support them in the hotels. I mean, sometimes there are nurses to check in on them, but we focus on comprehensive care, both mental and physical well-being, helping them organize medicine, helping them with mobility to prevent blood clots after surgery. There's a lot involved in aftercare. Surgery sometimes only have one story. Something that I've observed from years in this industry is that communication is a big part that's sometimes missing. There are 3 phases of patient communication. The first phase is before they come to Turkey, which is basically, the sales part, explaining the surgery. The second part is the actual surgery day, explaining the expectations of what's going to happen in the surgery. And then the third part is aftercare, telling them about recovery and what to expect in the first few days, what's going to happen to them. And most patients from interview have said that they get a lot of communication before the surgery itself, but afterwards, there is no communication cycle, okay? Not a lot of communication. Another thing is talking about patient rates. So some of the patients who contacted me just for aftercare would be talking about how their experience was with their clinic. This patient, for example, said that her surgery went perfectly, but she said she was still going to write a bad review to the clinic because when she arrived at the hotel, she had to wait for 2 hours in the lobby to get into a room. Something like that is more, related to the tourism aftercare aspect. So even if your surgeon or your doctor is affiliated to do perfect work, you could still have an unhappy patient. And so that's what we focus on after the surgery. What we did is I hired 2 psychologists in my team and their job was basically to understand patient psychology, right? So the doctors are experts on the actual medical part, and we're trying to focus on their emotions, how do they feel, how do they give them a satisfactory experience. So we hired psychologists to evaluate patient behavior and condition, and also to do kind of like short-term therapy for them having panic attacks after surgery and things like that. So we made sure we could take care of them that way. We also did training for the team, for the psychologists, so every Rafaqat chief companion who's working with patients knows the best way to take care of them, because this isn't just about surgery, it's also about aftercare. So our psychologist also found out a lot of feedback that I think is going to be helpful to clinics too. These are the things that patients usually complain about. Again, even though the surgery is perfect, this is what their issues are. Lack of schedule. When they come to Turkey, they're not sure. They know the day of surgery, but not the time. They don't know what's happening next. Usually, sometimes they don't get some kind of calendar of events, which increases their level of anxiety. And the stress increases their cortisol level, and when you're stressed and your cortisol is raised, even your surgery recovery is not going to be as good. Lack of direction and expectations are unclear. They don't know who's coming to assist them next, what time it's happening. Especially patients from, example, Germany, they love to have everything perfectly timed. Yes. So there's some cultural differences in terms of the aftercare aspect. Again, even if the surgery is perfect. So we were talking about the best ways to improve this aftercare communication. For pre-surgery, one thing patients have pointed out is that the logistics are always given very close to surgery date, which makes them more anxious. Another thing they said is that they want information about payments and everything beforehand. They want an assistant who speaks their native language, like, you know, if it's German, match to German, English, match to English. So more variety and more translation experts. On surgery day, sometimes they've said that they get the documents to sign right before the surgery. It's a high pressure environment. Right before surgery, they have to sign, when actually maybe they should have the legal documents the day before to read over it and understand. So that's one of the things that makes them nervous as well. So surgery day communication, that's actually the time they see the most clinic coordinators. However, after surgery has happened, 6 a.m. hits, 6 p.m. hits, the afternoon, and everyone goes away. The doctor goes home, the coordinators go home, and they stay behind in the hospital with the hospital staff, which usually has little to no English or other foreign languages. So that first night is usually pretty traumatic for some of the patients. That's where aftercare services come in to provide continuation of care. So I think a lot of clinics should think about hiring more like overnight staff or having one just in case. Because as you guys know, if you have experience with your clinics, some patients are more sensitive than others for a few reasons. One, anesthesia makes them emotional. Two, to get surgery, you have to stop taking some psychiatric medications, anxiety meds. So imagine they're off their meds for the first time in, I don't know, 5 years just to get surgery. So they're in a panic kind of state. So hiring more trained aftercare companions would have your patients have a better, more positive feedback for their whole surgery experience. Okay? Aftercare now, when people are sent to the hotel, they're alone for the first time, but they're still in a foreign country. Maybe if they were alone and they didn't have surgery, they would be fine, but because they've had surgery, they've been requesting from us like 24 hours care. 24 hours companion to stay with them, to take them shopping, to bring them vegan, kosher food, to help them organize, remember their medicines. You know, anesthesia doesn't leave the body for up to 24 hours or even longer if you're dehydrated. So they're confused, they miss their antibiotics, which could lead to infections and stuff. So again, even if the surgery is perfect, aftercare involves better aftercare, brings better results even for the surgeon because his patient doesn't get their antibiotics. I had a case of that even this weekend. It wasn't communicated to international patients that in Turkey, we have a system of Nöbetçi Eczane. On Sunday, doctor discharged the patient, gave them a pharmacy regimen, like a prescription. Problem is, international patients have to go to the pharmacy and they don't even know about what pharmacy is open 24 hours. So the patients skip antibiotics for 1.5 days. You know what I mean? That will come back to the surgeon. I have an infection, what did you do? So having someone, we send someone out to take their prescription, go to the pharmacy, get it for them. Adding those services to the clinics would be very helpful. Also, I wanted to note that people also think that after they pay, surgeons don't care. That's not the case. They have the experience where coordinators are told what to say to the patient, like a perfect script. Hello, we're this clinic, we're gonna do this, that service. They have a script before the patient comes. But after the surgery, there's no more script. That scripted dialogue ends and people just randomly contact the patient. Are you okay? I feel like patient contact after surgery should be timed, literally every day, ask at a certain time, 1 month, 1 week after, 1 month after, 6 months after. Because even in the reviews on Trustpilot, Real Self, there's some mention of they didn't care about me after. It's not that they didn't care, it's just there's no cycle of communication for the third phase of communication. The sales pitch is perfect, it's been perfected by experts. But the aftercare script is just random, okay? So everyone should have a script before, during surgery, hospital stay. Also, aftercare needs a script just as good as your sales script, okay? The next thing is about written communication. What is written to the patients? Zainab Yenijay, she's on the Health Tourism Board for TourSub. We talk a lot about aftercare, and we noticed that on clinic documentation, emergency numbers for Turkey are not written, emergency contacts for patients are not taken. Commonly, like no one asks, like, who's your closest family member we can call in an emergency? It's not commonly asked for, because I've walked through multiple clinics to help people, so I'm observing these things. So for written communication, number one for contracts, give the patient a copy of the contract and time to read it. For emergency numbers on your, on your flyers and documentation, the surgery team, give them tourism police information, emergency information, take their emergency contact. When they're out of surgery and they're not talking with their family, message them before, because you don't want their family calling Turkish police, which I've also seen. But I also noticed that we have a national, from the Ministry of Health and such, there's a foreign medical tourist phone number that they're supposed to call. Last year, me and Zainab called this number, just as a test, and nobody picked up. We called on different days as medical foreign tourists to try to get help from the Ministry of Health. Nobody picked up. So we messaged them to say, we need this number to be updated, or you need to make a contact with another company, because people need to pick up the phone. People are going to call if they're not, they're in a hotel, they have an emergency, they don't know, and their clinic maybe is not answering the phone sometimes. So basically, we're saying that we should add the new line. We talked to them, and now they've made a new international patient call center countrywide that actually has a response back. So that part has been solved, and it's really good. But it's just to highlight the importance of the ability for these patients to communicate, and get help that way. I'm gonna go back one. Okay, again, I was mentioning before, patient communication with the team. The sales pitch, everyone has perfected the sales pitch, but we need to perfect the aftercare pitch as well. Sit down and write the pitch just as good for the aftercare portion of the surgery. Because I know very good clinics, and people have called us for aftercare, and they think something is wrong with their clinic, and I have to tell them, your clinic and hospital is great. They just didn't know that you wanted that. You didn't ask them, but you expected them to talk to you more, and they think maybe my clinic doesn't care about me, and they would tell me that and express that and write this online. So I just want to give notice that this is what patients are talking about. So physical assistance for aftercare, okay. When people are sent to their hotel, even though typically most should be able to do mobile, a lot are not. many patients we found stay in their hotel laying down. It is unsafe because they're not walking around to prevent blood clots and get their circulation going. They've come to ask us, can you come and help me walk around, stand up? I can walk, just standing up hurts, so I didn't walk at all. So maybe more physical assistance can be provided optionally to clients. This week, I had a foot surgery patient who had metal rods inserted into her feet, and we had to go get a wheelchair. The clinic provided kind of like transportation, but there was no wheelchair to help her get into the hotel, to go to appointments, to go back. So these are some things, extra things to think about. That's why you need more refugee service. So maybe organize the teams into shifts, like have daytime shift people, later time shift people, because your clients still need, assistance and aftercare 24/7. And then I would say physical check-ins. Sometimes people call to check in, but for surgeries that are more complicated or combination, sometimes they prefer a visit. I know sometimes doctors call their patients to just take a taxi back to the hospital for checkup or send care, but some clinics are getting more advanced and they're having doctors and nurses come to the accommodation to check all the patients in one go. I think that's a really good system as well. And just mobility issues, I was saying that most clinics have transport. I think it's a good idea to have at least even one wheelchair in the back of your Vitos, your transfer Vitos, because some people really, it is very hard for them to walk and move around. And if they have a painful experience, what happens is the patient becomes less mobile. I used to work with a doctor and a Harvard professor in Boston. So I worked in one of the best hospitals in America, Mass General and Brigham Women's. And I noticed the aftercare there, so I wanted to try to bring some of that American aftercare style, in Turkey. And so one thing to do is always prepare for a patient to be less able than they should be. Like our foot patient, the doctor said they should be able to walk. But because it was hard for them the first time, they refused to do anything. They stopped complying, they stopped taking medicine, they were like, this is impossible. So we had to bring, like psychologists to bring back their psychology to a good normal place, and they start accepting their medication. Okay? So this is the part of aftercare that involves mobility. Together, communication, physical health, and emotional support by hiring psychologists. I know that Tursa does give Mashiade if you hire psychologists and social hizmet. So you can have some of your coordinators, not just knowing multiple languages, but knowing multiple personality styles is so important for patient care. All right. Patient rights. Okay. One other thing that foreign patients tell me, I'm a foreign patient myself, so a lot of them in the online communities, Facebook, all the forums, all the WhatsApp groups, they know I'm here, so they message me to tell me, oh, I want to sue my doctor, or they don't care about me. Usually it's not as dramatic as the patient is saying, but they're emotional, so they're thinking it that way. So knowing what their rights are in terms of when they think something has gone wrong with their surgery, knowing beforehand to call them like, if something goes on with your surgery, here are the situations where we might do a revision. Here are the situations where this is due to your body healing, you have to take care of yourself. If those expectations are more clear, patients will be less litigious in the aftercare time. What I mean by litigious is claiming they want to sue. I've seen a lot of people like, who's going to try to sue their clinic? And honestly, there's not a problem. It's about aftercare communication. If that is solved, we'll have a lot of less legal problems with the patients and everything. Some try to contact newspapers and things like that, but when you communicate with them in a different style, there are less patient problems in aftercare. All right. Thank you so much. I wanted to just open it up to questions because I know there's not aftercare companies in Istanbul. So any clinics who have questions about what are the foreign patients saying, what problems do they have, or you can ask any question about those experiences now, because I've seen a lot. I've walked into most of the hospitals, most of the clinics to get feedback. So any questions about the patient care? Yes.
What is the main reason of those lack of aftercare? You are mentioning lots of options that this may happen, this may happen, this may happen.
Yeah.
But what is from the clinic side, what is the main reason of those things that are popping up right now?
Well, I will say it like this. Doctors are usually not there during the aftercare period, so they don't watch the experience of the patient after hotel. Two, my dad is a doctor himself. He's very practical. So if the medical book textbook says patients are fine after 24 hours, technically they're like, they should be fine, right? But for example, my patient with the foot surgery, just maybe due to her body differences or her emotional state of mind, she's only 22 years old, having foot surgery, she decided she's not fine and refused to comply with all the medication. So doctors are much more practical. That's why I was saying like psychologists can also work together to figure out what is the psychology of the patient. How do we keep them happy and compliant with their medication routine and aftercare instructions? They go to the hotels and stop doing everything, honestly. So many times I see them not taking antibiotics, not doing anything, and just miserable, lie down and do everything. And then when a problem occurs because they didn't follow the rules, they go back and blame the doctor. And the doctor didn't know that they stopped complying because the patient is alone. They don't know what they were doing. So there should be more staff for aftercare, I feel like. Any other questions? All right. All right. Well, I hope you guys learned something that you can take back or think about more when it comes to your patient care. Definitely think about what happens to the patient after work time is over, after 6 p.m., that overnight portion, because a lot of things happen. We've been there to witness it to the patients afterwards. And if you change the communication style for the whole patient care cycle, especially working on the aftercare part, then you'll have a complete cycle, because in Turkey, honestly, the beginning and surgery part is wonderful. And for normal patients who are not sensitive, the whole cycle works for them. But as we know, after people have had surgery and they're in a different, weaker state of mind, you need to fill in the gaps for aftercare for those kind of individuals. And it'll make a better experience for everyone in Turkey overall. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
What do you think the most sensitive nation is?
The most sensitive nation? Definitely not German.
Yeah.
They just want to know what time everything is. The most sensitive, honestly, Americans. Americans, Australians. You know what I've noticed is that because America is a country that over-medicates, I'm talking about psychiatric medication, they'll give you pills. So most patients, 30 days before surgery, they get off these pills that they've been on for 10 years. This is a cultural thing. So your patient can be more erratic just because of the culture in America of over-medicating them with anxiety, So they're not only reacting to your surgery, they're also reacting to that as well. Other sensitive patients. Any patients that come from a nation where they're taken care of a lot, like family and friends. I think a family friends culture could be like Spain or Arabic nations. They request around-the-clock care because they're used to people helping them. So they're like, oh, you helped me for an hour and now you're gone. This is not good service. When, we've done enough to help, but they want sometimes around-the-clock care. So also the cultural competency of knowing like different cultures expect different things, explain why they give different ratings to different clinics on the websites. Yeah. Thank you so much.
So, many thanks to Sarah for this informative speech. And now we have the last speaker, Philip Kaufhold from NextEdge, and he will speak about online marketing.
So, welcome to this presentation. My name is Philip Kaufhold. I'm a marketing expert. And today we will discuss the topic of a systematic marketing development process to dominate the online market. It's about funnels, ads, but especially the work before is what the marketing makes profitable. Not just like the shiny objects, funnels, ads, everybody knows about this. You should. But as I say below, good marketing sells offers, but great marketing creates offers for a certain market. So we have these 6 steps of developing a really profitable online marketing system to really dominate the market. This is based on the design thinking approach, where you develop products, but your marketing is like a product. So you have to like generate ideas, evaluate ideas, and you do the same with your marketing process as you see. First of all, we will discuss the foundation, why you need to be online, why you need to have a sales funnel, which is working. So this is like the part below, and after this we will go through the 6 steps. Usually this presentation is like a 2-day presentation. I had to cut it in like 45 minutes, so 40 minutes. So I will rush. If you have any questions, you can go to me after this presentation. I will take my time for you, and I can send you some sheets if you want to. So, fact 1, your target group is online. Okay, everybody has to understand this. This isn't something new. You see here some statistics. 78% of shoppers begin the product search online. Even if they buy offline, they will inform themselves online about the products. Like it says in the second. People spend an average of 5 hours a week shopping only online. That's not the time they're online, that's only the online shopping time. And even in B2B, I assume that many of you do B2B business, and even in B2B, the people are so like in the habit of the B2C online shopping progress that they demand the same experience in the B2B as in the B2C. They will Google and they have many information before they even get in contact with you. So you have to be online and give them those information. Yes, some other statistics. Online is eating off the offline world. We have 4.66 billion people using the internet today. These are like 59.5% of the global population, and it's rising. The average daily time spent online by each internet users is 6 hours and 45 minutes. And yes, this is like, I will rush through it now. You understand, online is eating the offline world, and those pages have the most traffic, where you can get the attention from. In the past, it was like newspapers and billboards, but today the attention is here, so you have to go there and get the attention of your ideal customers. So So this is the digital ad spending worldwide. It's like rising and rising, and big companies, successful companies, are shifting their budgets from the offline marketing into the online marketing. So, and you need a so-called funnel to adapt and get this sales from this attention. Maybe you can raise your head. Do you know what a funnel is? Just for my, yes? Sales funnel, exactly. Okay, great. I don't need how much level of experience you all have, because I'm in the bubble and yes, okay. So you need a funnel to adapt, like get the attention. You have to get a funnel to get the attention of the people up in the funnel and follow them, give them the customer experience, to inform them, give them all the information they need, warm them up, and then usually get them on the sales call or making online sales. So this is what a strategic funnel process looks like. In the most cases, you will get traffic, for example, as you saw, Google, YouTube, Facebook, or SEO traffic. So you get the attention from the people, and then you lead them through a process where you give them usually something for free, like a calculator. You can give them a calculation of their, for example, many of you are in surgery, for example, you can give them a calculation of how much it will cost, for example, an ebook, a video text that is like something. You show them a video and give them any information they will need, because you have to understand, it's not the sales which is like informing the people about what they're going to buy. You have to do it before, because other people are doing it before. If you are like keeping the information for you, like it was in the past, they will decide and go to somebody who gives them the information. The sales is more like a consultation about the individual case. And yeah, you will get the attention, follow them into a landing page to get their contact, to like win the contact, own the target group, and you can follow them through the internet with different ads to like bring them into the process. If they clicked but didn't opt in, then you can get like the attention back. If you own the contact, you can like convince them with emails, with different social media strategies, but you don't have to pay for it anymore. So you need to own the target group to then get them into more touch points, because on average you need like 6 to 7 touch points to convince the customer. And after this, after you got the contact and heated him up, you can offer him a free consultation, for example, a hair transplant or like a certain kind of travel. Or if you have a low price product below 500 to 1,000 euros, for example, you can even do it with online sales. But you need the process of heating them up. So this process allows you to buy attention. For example, you put $100 into ad budget from Google or Facebook, and then get this cold traffic. It's not a recommendation, it's totally cold, you know, that people are like interested in this topic, and put them into a process where you're gonna heat them up, show them any benefits, features like trust, and after this you will get like $500 in average out of this process, and you can reinvest this back into your funnel. So you have a like sales machine, and this is really important. Everybody needs to have one of these to really scale their business without any without being dependable on any kind of source, because you always be able to buy traffic in this world, in this digital world, and you need a process to convert this cold traffic into customers, and then you have like a money printing machine. But this shouldn't be new to your market. Competition as well as cost is rising. This isn't something really new. Here's like the the ads for like hair transplantation Istanbul. If you Google it, you will see many ads, many competitors. Maybe someone of you is like in these ads right now, and it's not as easy as it was like 5 years ago. Today, you have to be very optimized because you have a global competition in the ad market. You're not only in the competition of your own market, like hair transplantation Istanbul. You have as well other products who have the same target group as you, which are always fighting for this attention buying, and because of this is an option, the ad price is going up with more demand. So you have to optimize this process, and some of you may have a sales funnel, but it doesn't work well, and this is for you. And some of you may not even have a sales funnel, then this is for you too. If you have a working sales funnel, this shouldn't be new to you. This is for you. So this is the process of how your business is dominating the online market. So the secret is logical and simple. By not just looking on the marketing in terms of like attention buying and funnel processes, but like focusing on the target customer. This is so important in these days because the customer has the power, and you need to read the customer, you need the data, you need to be database, and this is what we are going to go through. This presentation is divided in two processes. The first three are the basis, okay, in building like a data-based offer and positioning to build a product what the market is craving or starving for, okay? And the other four are like the usual marketing tech stuff, building a sales funnel, driving traffic, and A/B testing, of course. So, in my experience, I'm doing this for 7 years now, and I did very profitable campaigns, and the first three things are the things where 80% of the result lays. In the other four, in the steps 4 to 6, you have to avoid failures, and then this will work properly. If you're doing failures in the first 3 steps, nothing is going to work. So focus on the first 3 steps, and you're going to be fine. You will see results. So first thing is target market research. And in this phase, we will build empathy for customer and the market, because you have like 2 variables here. You have your target group, okay, people who you're gonna sell to, and the competition who's selling to them. And it's all about consciousness, because your target market has some level of consciousness. For example, some people don't know that they have a problem. They have a problem, but they are not consciousness about having a problem. And to those people, you have to address a different type of communication than the people who know that they have a problem, and they are searching for solutions. So you have to differentiate between the levels of consciousness in your target market, and this variable is dependent of your competition, because your competition is always giving information to your target group. This is the dynamic process. This is really important to understand, that this variable is going to change. You have to analyze your market frequently. You can't stop. You can't start a business, analyze your market, and then leave it. You have to constantly be in your market, analyzing your market, analyze the changes. And the best way to do it is like connecting with the sales, because the sales is giving you the best information about target market research. If you aren't in the market, this is even for you. You can like analyze markets before you launch a product, before you develop a product, and then you will have success with the product. Most people are developing products out of their minds. But it's even easier. For example, imagine I could clone some of you, and then I could like spend a week with your clone and ask them any questions I want. And after 1 week, the clone disappears, and I will write an offer for you. And I swear you will accept this offer, because I know exactly what you want, what your pain points are, what your wishes are, and this state of mind you need in the target market research. As a question, how would your business change if you would have all information about what the market really wants? So if somebody says, okay, this is the perfect offer, and what the competition is doing, if you have all of this information, you can't lose, because they already told you what they want. You don't really have to convince them. And this is really important to understand. This is like 80% of the result and 20% of the input. For like, estimation, you could spend, in the beginning of the business, you could spend 2 weeks of target market research only. This will rapidly boost your sales. So this is the like developing your unfair advantage superpower. It's like hack into the customer. So be always in communication with the customer and the market. And yeah, you can do this even online. Go through any kind of published information from your target group, Google forums, YouTube comments, Amazon reviews, Quora, Reddit, Facebook groups, LinkedIn, and do you know Answer the Public? Okay, please notice this, answerthepublic.com. You will get a sheet like this, where you will get every frequently asked question about your topic, what people are searching for on Google. So if you do this, answerthepublic.com, and type in, for example, digital marketing, it's very hard to read this, but you will get like any question which is like often Googled. And if I now want to sell to this audience who's interested in digital marketing, I just can publish a free ebook to get contact details and answering a few of these frequently asked questions. So the people are going to opt in and give me their contact information, and I can sell them. So this is just one through rush. Here is the empathy map. You will get this if you want after this presentation. Here you can like type in your data, and this is really important to have this kind of list where you have always like divided into newbies, intermediates, and advanced customers or potential customers. And in this column, you will see like hopes and dreams, pains and fears, barriers and uncertainties, unexpected insights, like the language of the people, like if they have slang. And you should do this because every type of communication, in marketing and even in sales, should address to these things. This is really important, and you should use this kind of empathy map and get those data either from the sales, because if people not buy from you, they will give you like a barrier, and then you have to notice this barrier, and you can optimize your product or you optimize your marketing, but you have to change something if there are like barriers in this process. So the second thing is like hacking the enemy, competitor analysis, because there are in every market there are like winners, and these winners have understood this, and they're going to market aggressively to your target audience. And what they are doing is like raising the consciousness in this market. So, for example, if you have a problem of, for example, getting new clients, like 7 years ago, everybody communicated to people like this: okay, you should use this modern method of Facebook ads. Okay, it's like a new thing. So they raise the consciousness about this new method, which is working, and nowadays, it's like nothing new to the most people to use digital advertising. So you have to address other communications, for example, like how to make your ads profitable with a sales funnel, for example. This is a higher level of consciousness in your target market. So you need to adapt and see, okay, what kind of communication level about problem or wish or solution or even the offers can you address to the people? How far are they in this process? It's important. Every kind of these 3 steps is in the market, but you have to see where the masses are, because you always want to sell to masses. It's really easy then to build a great company. So how you do competitor analysis? Apply funnel hacking as a strategy. So you go to, for example, Google, type in hair transplantation, and then go through the ad processes. Click on the ad, see, okay, which kind of process, which kind of videos, which kind of communication are they using to like convince the customer to get into the sales process. And if you are really competitive, you can even opt in and do a sales call with your competition to analyze, okay, how are they selling? What kind of offer they have? And this is a really important strategy as well, because here you have the competitor map, and again, this is something dynamic. Your competition will adjust their offers as well to even like get your customer from you, and you have to adapt again. So anybody in your company should analyze the market. This is really important. It's usually the digital marketers, because they are usually managing the marketing process, and they should analyze the market in terms of target group with the sales and the competition, because they can go through funnels and then like fill out this kind of map. Who is the competitor? What is the offered benefit? What kind of offers are they? Pricing levels? What guarantee is there? And speed of delivery? All these things, and go through it and see into your management what can we adjust like to be one level further than the competition. So after you have all the information about the target market now you need to position. So define now your market domination opportunities. You will find very interesting things like usual problems of your target group with the certain most known best solution. They will say, okay, this is the problem with this, or it's too expensive, or whatever. And then you go through and define your market domination opportunity, where you can position and dominate the market, because you develop an offer. What is like, well, this is the next step, but first you need to define your persona and see, okay, on which kind of persona, with problem or which wish do you want to like address. So different target groups, different consciousnesses about problems and wishes or solutions, and even objections. You need to like think about, okay, what kind of positioning do you want to attack? So then the third step, after you define your positioning, with all your data you have, you can now create the perfect offer. You have like now the chance to really lead the market, and you should always think about, okay, how I can lead the market for 1 year now. If you're developing an offer, think about really, okay, how I can be the best offer for the next year. Because somebody will adapt. There are great players in every market. Somebody will adapt again, but you have like the further position. You know where the market is going, and then you can position and create the offer for exact this kind of mess desire. And then you will have, at this point, your sales will be really easier and really better performing, and even your marketing, this is the next step. This phase is about creating your perfect offer. So, yeah, it's like a metaphor. What offer do you need so that your customers going through a snowstorm to get it? So you need to really think about how you can make the most compelling offer in the whole industry. This is pretty hard, but it's like what marketing is really about usually. Marketing isn't just about SEO or ads or traffic. Marketing is about this. Product is part of the marketing. And yeah, we need to gather the information about the market, position on a certain problem in the market, solve this problem with a certain offer, and then you will dominate this niche and can market aggressively to get these leads in, because after this point, as I said, the sales process will be much easier. You don't have to like convince people, because you're like the leader. You show them, okay, I understand you, I know what you want, and I created what you want. Now they have to buy it at your company. So this is, I will skip this. 10 reasons people want to buy. We can go through it after this presentation. Here, this is because I have only 10 minutes. I have to like accelerate. So persona-centric offers. These are kind of things, just some impulses to create better offers. So on the left side, you have like usually the sales pitch, the promise, the core offer, whatever. So, and then think about in value building. Maybe people are always saying, okay, it's too expensive. Maybe you should build a downside, a lower price offer with even a higher margin often, and yeah, solve this problem. Or people don't trust, maybe I often hear that people have problems with testimonials, trust building. Just put a guarantee on it. If you're sure that you can deliver, put a guarantee on it. The guarantee will be the solution to a lack of testimonials, or even many testimonials. Be the market leader with many testimonials, because people need to trust you. Speed of delivery. Amazon showed us how important delivery is. There are many online shops. Why are everybody buying from Amazon? Why Amazon is dominating the e-commerce world? Because of speed of delivery, because of customer service, those kind of things. They don't have better products. They have the same products as other online shops. They trust Amazon. The speed of delivery is good. They solve problems, and then they market what they did to the people. Customer experience, bonuses. Often we can maybe through digital products or through different kind of bonuses which you add up onto your product can like dominate the market, because the value is even higher, and often you can play around with some digital stuff, maybe ebooks, maybe online courses, any kind of those things, to raise the value for the client, but to not have like variable costs in addition. These are like cool scale effects. And customer service. Yeah. What helps your offer to stand out? Here, like my top 6 things. New market, medicine market. Maybe it's not the best thing to be new, but of course, unique. You have to be unique. Think about, okay, how I can stand out, what kind of things I can build to be the only one who has it, to get like people inbound find you. Maybe you can design a more exciting process, because as I said, the people, the customers demand the same experience in buying as in B2C, in B2B. So maybe you can like improve your process after they bought. Maybe you can make it exciting, give them a feeling of, okay, this is going to be huge. Make it easy. For example, I spoke to MedClinics at first, and we decided to present the process of like a medical surgery very easy to the people. They don't have to care about like booking a flight and booking a hotel and the transfer and everything so complicated. Make it easy for them to be a customer. After buying from you, they don't want much problems or much like time investing into this thing. Make it predictable. Show the people exactly how you're going to do it. They have to understand exactly how your product works, or how your solution, how your service is working. And of course, make it huge in terms of like market research. solve a big problem to them, and it will be huge for them. So just kind of impulses, some of the impulses to improve it. So this is like to part 3, to build an offer, what is going to improve your sales calls, improve your revenue. You can even raise your prices if you are like target market focused. But you need to get the contact, of course. It's not smart in this world to promote offers in social media, for example, or on YouTube. Offers aren't the best way to get the digital marketing system working, because it's like convincing people to buy from you, so the rate of people who are going to buy from you will be lower. So think about a lead magnet. What is gonna like get you the contact information of your potential clients, to then own the contact and then maybe call them or send them emails or get in contact with them and send them content about like how the process of buying at your company is working, or like the benefits. Send them videos, anything. Educate them to be in a higher consciousness level about the solution. Make them understand that your offer is the best solution, and not like tell it to them in the advertising, but like get them into an opt-in process, get the contact, and after this you can communicate for free to the person via email, via social media, for example. Don't make the mistake, many people are doing it, like advertising on your offer. Say, okay, this is the house, buy this house. No, this isn't working. This is really expensive, and people who are doing it like us, for example, are gonna take the contact and pay, for example, 20, 30 euros, dollars, whatever, and then call them. If you're like putting the offer in the ad, nobody is gonna like, or very few people are gonna opt in. So you don't have the contact, you don't have anything. You don't even know why people aren't buying from you. This is in terms of market research. So you need a lead magnet at this stage, as I told. So from the traffic, we're advertising, for example, an ebook or a video of, like we told the MedClinics about maybe a video log of a person who is who is doing a hair transplant, to like show the people the exact, easy, predictable, huge process of how to get a hair transplant or a breast operation or whatever, to like make them feel they understand this process. And for this kind of video, they have to give us their email address, for example, to send it to them. That's logical. And after we send it to them, they will get to see this video. And after this, for example, they will get emails from very satisfied customers we have. Many case studies, build any more trust, send them trust banners, for example, testimonials, anything to raise the level of trust in our brand. And then after this, in the email, we can offer them, hey, what about the free consultation? Maybe you have questions. Get in touch with us, and we will consult you. So this is way cheaper than just doing traffic ads, for example, and offering them a hair transplant. Everybody is going to sit maybe on the toilet, social media, I don't know, and they're going to scroll through the social media, see your offer, and so this isn't going to work. But catch them with a bait, you will get the contact, and then after this, build trust, build rapport, and then offer them a free consultation or even an offer. So this is how you should do this. So yeah, a few free offers, free lead magnets. Sorry. So this video training, webinar, a free report, a cheat sheet, a checklist, for example, a free trial in software, for example, very powerful, or a free consultation, even directly. This is going to work. I tried everything of this, everything had worked before. So, real examples. Okay, I have 1 minute and 40 seconds. Okay, great. So, the person who did this the best is Telecom done this. And Telecom wasn't like very successful in America until they focused on customers. They had a really great strategy. I will go through this. The CEO of them went into the sales calls. In any sales call they did, in every customer support call, and listened about what the people are complaining about. So the people, for example, said, okay, I'm confused by contracts and I feel this is deliberate. Okay, so he decided, let's make a simple choice, no annual contracts anymore. Monthly contracts, easy. So, another complaint. I want to update my phone, but it's not time. Jump program, you can update when you want. So he gone through every complaint in the customer support and found a solution to this. I can move on, but here, for example, this is really cool. I want to switch to T-Mobile, but I'm locked in my old contract, and I don't want to like pay twice, of course. So they told, okay, we will buy your old contract, so we will become T-Mobile member. These kind of things, he was very creative, and what happened was that, okay, it's German, that T-Mobile became the most valuable mobile phone company in the world after this. Even it's a German company, I think, yes, it's a Deutsche Telekom, and even in America, the market leaders in America were like dominated by Telecom because just of customer experience. This is really important. Yes, and they had many bonuses, Netflix on us, and many more things. You can write me and I will send you these things after. So, yeah, powerful USPs, a few other ideas. You can use a guarantee, of course, like price lock. This is really cool. AT&T and Verizon are like competitors of Telecom. And then they thought, okay, well, AT&T and Verizon are raising the bills for many customers. We won't rise the price of your rate plan. So people were afraid in times of high inflation that the mobile phone rates are going to rise, of course. And they told them, hey, at ours, we will keep the prices. So it's like a USP, of course. And yeah, customer support service. They will get the best customer support team of experts. It's known there. Bonuses based on persona. This is really interesting. If you're like a big company like T-Mobile, you will have many type of personas, and they focused on, for example, the more like consumer based. You will get Netflix, Apple TV, or Paramount for free. Or if you are a student, you will get Microsoft 365. Or if you're a businessman, you will get $200 ad spend for free. These kind of bonuses they did for like we are building USPs and dominating the market. So Amazon deliver in less time. Everybody knows Amazon, I think. This is a quite interesting topic too. Do I have enough time? Okay. Okay. So increase your customer lifetime value. In terms of offers, it's really important to understand if you have the ability to not just sell €1,000 product to your potential customer, but for example, sell them a €1,000 product and then after this an abonnement and a mastermind or whatever. So get the value of the customer higher. You can spend more in advertising and will dominate your competition. This is really important to understand that this is a really great opportunity to get rid of your competition, because as I said, it's an option. If you're raising your ad costs and buy every Google ad on a certain keyword and many Facebook ads, for example, other competitors who are not doing this strategically are going to bleed out. They can afford to pay, for example, 1,000 euro for a customer because they only, because I'm in the marketing industry, a website costs 2,000–3,000 euros. If I'm only offering the website and I have to like pay 2,000 euros in ad spend to get a customer, this won't happen. But if I'm, for example, offer them, okay, I will do your marketing in addition to this, I will have a much higher worth of the customer. I will pay 2,000, but for example, I will get 2,000 a month for marketing, and I'm like selling the website for 2,000, and then the customer value raises, and I can like dominate the competition who are only web designers. They have no chance in digital advertising then if I have the same target group. So you can upsell, you can downsell. So upsell is like the next bigger offer. They buy something from you, and you say them, hey, maybe it's interesting for you. We have this offer, and it's a little bit more expensive, but you have this, and this, and this would make sense for you, I think. Or a downsell if they say no, to not waste leads, potential clients, to offer them something lower, maybe. A cross-sell, matching other offers to the original offers, and of course, I love this subscription models. This is like the best way to raise your customer lifetime value, get them into like this subscription. So I will hurry up a bit. Build the funnel. This is the fourth steps. If you do these 3 steps properly, you're gonna win. You can't lose if you not mess up with funnel building. Don't build like really crappy pages, but I saw pages with good offers, and I know they went really, really well because the offer was good. The lead magnet, for example. And those kind of things, don't focus on the wrong thing. Don't focus on like the best landing page and the best ads. Focus first on the greatest lead magnet, and then, for example, target the right audience. Don't make big mistakes on like the ads and the funnel and everything work properly. If you want to go really big, make everything perfect, and of course you should optimize, of course. But I want to say, please focus on the right thing. This is really important in marketing. So the next thing is building the funnel for a perfect offer. This is what I said to you. In this presentation, I won't go deep into this funnel thing because, as I said, I wanted to focus on the right thing here. Yeah, I already explained it to you. And then traffic test the funnel. So in this phase, you're gonna use any kind of traffic source where you can reach your target audience. It's really important to be there where your target audience is. Of course, as I said, it's really simple and logical to do marketing. Just have the right offer for the right audience, then go to a place where your audience is, address it to them, put them into the sales process, and they will buy if you have the right offer. So in this case, there is no like best traffic source. It's not like that Facebook ads is better than LinkedIn ads or like better YouTube ads or SEO. Everything is a market, and the market will regulate itself. And sometimes some traffic sources are more expensive and less expensive, but I want you to focus on the traffic source where your audience is. Simple, okay? So, yes, this is like the funnel, the online client acquisition machine. And the 6th step, yes, the funnel. And the 6th step is iterate and optimize. this is, as I said, dynamic. If you are going into this process with the mindset, okay, I will build it and then it will stick forever, you're going to lose. Simply. You have to A/B test like crazy. If you're going to win in this global competition, you have to like test things out. And yes, you should always experiment with different types of ads, different types of funnels, different types of lead magnets, even different types of offers maybe, and be ahead of your competition. And yes, optimize. You should, like, as a manager, for example, or marketing manager, or whatever position you want to give this to, the person has to have an Excel sheet which is like be checked every week. You have to check, okay, how many clicks I got on the ads, or how much ad spend we got, how many clicks we got, how many opt-ins on my landing page we got, how many leads, consultation leads, for example, got we. And then, of course, the sales, and then after the sales, every after sales KPI, key performance index, or like important data about this process. You need to know about your data to optimize. Be data-based. This is like the most important message in this kind of presentation. It begins database with the target market research, and then with optimizing in this process. Wait. Yes, you can take your phone out now. You can scan this QR code, and you will receive the whole presentation. You will receive the empathy mapping tool, the competitor mapping tool, and if you want, yes, tell me that you want a free consultation. And it's even easier. Just send an email now to contact@netechnologies.de with the headline Training 22. And yes, we will get in touch with you, and you will get a free consultation, and maybe we can help you out in this hour. So, thanks for having me.
So thank you, Philip. Philip was our last speaker for today, for this conference, but you can always visit us on our B2B stand. It's ongoing, and thank you for coming and taking the time for it. Thank you.